I think we got quorum, and we can call the meeting to order and take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Green,
Here. Here.
Commissioner Maninder Singh,
Present.
Commissioner Raj Singh. On the mic.
Here.
Vice Chairperson Pfister,
Here.
Chairperson Nayar.
Present. All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Miss, are there any public comments or?
Public comments. Persons wishing to address the Parks and Recreation Commission during the public comment portion of the agenda may complete the public comment form, which is located on the table at the back of the boardroom. No action or discussion shall be taken on any item raised during public comment, except that commissioners or staff members may briefly respond to statements or questions. If a member of the public wishes to comment on an agenda item, public comments form should be submitted prior to the time the item is announced. Completion of the form is voluntary. Persons that do not fill out the form but still wish to speak will be allowed to do so. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please turn off all electronic devices and please no personal attacks.
Did you want to address the board?
Oh, sure. Come up to the table and the button on the lower right side is the microphone.
Good evening, board. My name is Raghu Malapaka, and I'm a resident of Mountain House for 8 years now, and I've been actively involved in the community in various activities. I'm the president of Mountain House Tracy Tennis Foundation, and we are an organization of about 300 active members right now. So I just want to address the board to thank all of you for taking time to, volunteer and make this a better community. And also, I would like to let the board know that we have a very active community for both coaching as well as playing tennis in Mountain House. And because we only have 3 courts available during the weekday and 6 courts, high school courts on the weekend, it's always a constant struggle to find ample court time. But we have coexisted, I must say, fairly well so far. But like any system, we need to have some more, I would say, structure around it. So currently we have 3 courts on weekdays, and one of them is reserved for coaching kids, which is fantastic because our kids don't have to go too far. We have good coaches. But at the same time, on weekends, 2 of the courts at Central Park are blocked all day, pretty much from 9 a.m. to, I guess, 9 p.m. So that's causing a lot of struggle. And also, we would like to understand what are the criteria for coaching. And sometimes we have coaches who are not registered with the CSD, they're coaching as well. So we just want some structure around it and also support coaching in a more organic way. So, and also we would like to know when the new courts will be constructed. So that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Raghu. I really appreciate you recognizing us working on this. Any other public comments?
No.
Okay, so if there are no changes to the minutes from our last meeting, is there a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting on January 17th, 2024? Anybody like to move to approve the minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I second that motion.
Commissioner Green approves the minutes and Commissioner Raj Singh seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Minutes from last meeting are approved. We're moving to action item 5.A. Approve the final draft of the tennis court rental policies and recommend it to the board for adoption. Laura, are you in position to share the presentation?
Yes, I am. Do you see it on your screens?
Yes.
Okay. So I have a presentation for you tonight, and at the end, when we have public comment, I have 2 emails that were shared to me that I believe that you should read to your group today that will help you to form your decision in approving this draft. And again, I just want to remind you, it is a draft. It still is up for more comments, suggestions, and edits, and it will only go to the board for approval once you guys all approve it here at your meeting. So staff recommends. Sorry? Staff recommends that the Mountain House Parks and Recreation Commission approve the draft version of the tennis court rental policy and recommend to the board for adoption. So the tennis program has grown substantially since June of 2020. We have a 50% increase in court utilization, 74% increase between the hours of 8 and 9, an increase of 9.5 in the morning and midday. They've also increased 84% during 21-22, and they've increased another 10% just this past year. Several issues have been observed by staff and have been shared with staff by members of the board and the tennis community, including lessons, leagues, tournaments are taking up court time from public use. Courts 1 and 2 are being used by commercial users. Commercial users have been granted more than 10 hours per week per the current policy. Private rentals use their time for commercial use. It's unauthorized coaches that are out on the courts. Private rentals are also using aliases to book the courts multiple times. So as far as the current policies go, they were adopted by the board back in 2020. Staff presented the commission with a red line copy of the current policies at last month's commission meeting. The red lines indicate anything that's outdated or policies that need to be improved. Fees will not change at this point because we need to take the fees back to the board on a separate item. So the fees will stay the same for now. So with our new policies, staff provided the commission with a draft at the January 17 meeting. Commissioners commented and provided staff with changes and additions and some edits. So the following draft is what I'm presenting tonight with your comments and suggestions. So I'm going to go page by page. And again, if there's anything that you want to call out on your own or any questions you may have, we'll just go through it page by page. So under the definition, we discussed the non-resident organizations don't have to have a principal address in Mountain House any longer, so I took that out. I also defined that passive play is just any kind of court use that's not a lesson or a pay-to-play component to it. Typically just either your walk-on user or your private user.
Hey, Laura, can we just, I have a quick comment on legacy organization. So I think legacy organization is fine, but giving them the priority over other organizations, that's, I would like to discuss that piece because if it is,
Yes.
yeah,
Absolutely. So that will be identified in the allocation portion of this. These are just kind of defining what the term means in case nobody knows what legacy means.
sounds good.
All right. So again, I just took out the nonprofit principal address. This is just kind of a welcoming page here. We updated the hours. I call that primetime hours in the new policies. I think last month the commission recommended updating it to 6 o'clock. 10. We went as late as 10 because it's increased substantially over the last year.
I think 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. is about right.
Do you want to change it back to 5? Are you recommending?
It says 5 on here. 5 to 10.
What do you see the updated red line version on the?
Yes, I'm looking at that.
Yeah, so that
Um,
it was changed from 5 to 6. Do you want to change it back to 5?
no, we can leave it at 6.
So clarification, in the notes that we're looking at now, it says 5 o'clock. So it's going to be changed to 6 o'clock and not 5.
Correct. So I have the red line changed version based on your comments up on the screen. Do you see the screen in front of you?
Yeah, so I'll disregard this pamphlet that you gave us.
Yeah, so that's the policy that we submitted last month.
Got it.
So Laura, actually, I don't remember discussing that piece. So I think 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. is fine for prime time.
You got it.
Yeah. Unless anyone has any other comments.
No, I think 5 is good.
So as far as booking, right now we have, right now I believe it's 1 hour per week per customer, but we updated it to 2 times per week during the prime time hours. And then commissioners also recommended having unlimited hours during the non-prime time hours. We also updated so that non-residents can only book 3 days in advance as opposed to 14 days in advance, and they only get 1 hour per week. So there are some restrictions for non-residents. Did you have any comments about this particular policy?
Yeah. Yes, I think for prime time also, I think 2 times a week is not sufficient. So there are a lot of people who would like to take advantage of play during the prime time also. So I think that should. I don't think so. There should be any limit to that.
So you would like you'd like to allow the public to book as many times as they want.
Yeah, that would be my recommendation.
Clarification on that. So you're saying anybody from Mountain House can book as many times as they want per week with only a 2-day advance notice?
14 days in advance.
14 days in advance notice, and they can book as many times during the prime time also during the week. No, so right now what is recommended or what we discussed last time was that to allow only 2 times during prime time per week. But the recommendation, what I'm recommending is that not having any limit on how many times you can book during the prime time.
Is that for coaching also?
So coaching is, I think, later,
No.
coaching is limited to 10 hours per week during the prime time and 30 hours total for the month.
It's actually, it's listed underneath under commercial use, but as far as for resident booking, if you allow them unlimited, they could potentially book 5 hours a day.
Oh, no, so one booking per day only.
So 1 hour per day.
Yes,
So they'll be able to do one time per day.
that's correct.
I think you should, let's really
So
look at
one
that.
time per day, whether it's prime time or non-prime time. So once they're done with their one booking during the day, then they're done.
So you're
So they-
suggesting,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead, Laura, go ahead, go ahead.
No, Commissioner, it's fine.
I'm just really trying to get clarification because we have to really be clear on that because it sounds like either all access or very limited. So if you wanted to play 5 days a week for 1 hour a day, you should be able to book that time. Or, is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
Or if you want to play 7 times a week, or 7 days a week, or 7 times in a week, you should be able to do that for 1 hour every day.
And that would be good, but I feel like it would really limit, like, so if you wanted to do that and he wanted to do that, I think it might cause some sort of conflict having that much leadway. You know what I mean? Because if you wanted to do that, but then he decided he wanted to book all 5 of those days too at 10 o'clock, and you wanted to play at 10, that would cause, so I think we need to not make it so broad.
So, well, I mean, so it's kind of first come first, and at 10 a.m. we'll have 3 courts available. So I see what you're saying, but I don't think there'll be a huge conflict there. So everybody has the flexibility of booking 1 hour per day.
I just think maybe 5 days a week might be too many, maybe 3.
Yeah.
I don't, I just kind of feel like
Yeah.
it might, trying to get more time because that's your love might backfire.
Yeah.
Because it gives someone else that same leadway to book that much time. So for me, it's fine either which way.
Yeah.
But you got to look at both sides.
Right. So I think,
I think since only there are 3 courts, and we already saw that in the beginning, the issues we are seeing. So if we limit number of days is better. So everybody gets chance to play. So whether 4 days a week, right now it's just 1 hour per week. Making it to 4 days is still a huge improvement, but at least giving some chance to others to have a booking.
no, but everybody has an equal chance, right?
But it doesn't eliminate you playing 5 days a week. It
Yeah,
just
if
eliminates
there's-
your reservation for 5 days a week. But if you get out there and no one has that time reserved, you are more than welcome. Anybody is more than welcome. It's just,
Exactly.
if it's trying to keep people from being able to monopolize all the time, because it could backfire.
And secondly,
I don't play tennis, but
Yeah.
I'm
I
just
I
trying to
don't,
think about it.
yeah, I don't think it can be monopolized, but I think if not 7 days, I think 5 days probably is.
5 days, yeah. 5 days, I think, because 14 days in advance, many people will try to book it. So at least not 7 days better and allow.
That's
5
fine.
is still fine.
That's fine, but whatever days you guys choose, like I said, I don't play tennis, so whatever days work for you guys, that's fine.
Yeah.
It just, there has to be some sort of stipulation in there though, that like you can't book 14 days and then go back in and book 14 days and go back in so that you're constantly having every 14 days, those days, because it is a monopoly when it's done like that.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, I don't think anybody has that kind of free time, but yeah, I think 5 is a good number where, but Laura, what I think we're recommending is that 5 days, doesn't matter whether it's prime time or regular time. So once you've used your 1 hour,
Okay.
you're done for that day.
Okay, so 5 times for 1 hour per week. And then I'll just take out the prime time and unlimited prime time.
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. And as far as commercial users, we need them to submit an application at least a month in advance for 30-day, we're suggesting 90 days per application because these are supposed to be standing lessons. Is this something that you want to go ahead and keep?
Yes, I'm fine with 90 days. So they can do as late as 20 days and as early as 90 days.
At least a month in advance for up to 3 months in advance.
Okay.
Can I add a comment?
Yes, Sanjay.
They can, commercial users, according to this, 28 days in advance, they can book and up to 90 days. So if that happened, then don't you think then they will book a lot? And we saw the same issue, commercial
Well,
users are using a lot and then
yes.
public will not get it.
So is defined underneath it where it says commercial use.
The coaches, right?
This particular policy right now is just about booking. Underneath, under commercial use, it kind of defines what they are allowed to book and when.
You will see that they're only allowed to book 30 hours a month, sorry. That'll come later.
30 hours a
Yeah.
month.
Yeah, that'll come later. It's in there.
Okay, so they have an hours limit.
Now also they have a 10-hour limit, but nobody really adheres to that 10-hour limit.
And 30 hours, you guys think it's okay? A month?
Well, we're not at that point, Commissioner Sharma, so do you want me to move on to the next topic?
Yes, please.
Okay, so for commercial users, which are anybody that is a fees to pay or participate in, which could be a group or private lesson, league play, or a tournament. So, or a clinic, for example. I think Mountain House primarily has a lesson program, but I know that there are leagues and I know that there are tournaments. So it's up to the commission to really define what a commercial user is in your eyes.
So definitely, I think anybody providing any sort of coaching and collecting money is a commercial user. Tournaments are commercial, even though they are USTA. And I would consider league play as commercial use as well, because there is a great service provided during league play, but there is also a collection of some money for the nonprofit.
Okay. And just as a best practice, this is the best practice in most municipalities. So, I'll continue here. So commercial applicants, right now, they reserve court 1, and sometimes though I see them on court 3. So in this particular policy, we're telling people that only court 1 can be reserved. And right now in the current policies, it says they're limited to 10 hours a week. But as far as I've seen, they've all been granted 36 hours a week. So right now in this policy, we have it that they're restricted to court 1 and only up to 5 hours a day, because some of them book for 9-10 hours.
That is
Also, this policy says up to 20 hours per week instead of the 36 now. So at this point, this is where I need your feedback. And when I understand that court 1 is a prime court. It's less windy, and I understand that there's maybe court 3 is probably a more ideal court for a lesson program.
Yes, Laura. So if I agree that I think we should put coaching on court 3, because court 1 is the least windy of the courts, and if we have some serious players want to have a match 1 hour they have, I think they should be able to play on court 1. And for coaching, I don't think so it matters, the wind matters that much, because usually they're using softer balls that they don't fly all over the place. So I think
Right.
if, court 1 should be reserved for regular play, and court 3 for coaching during the weekdays and weekends.
Okay, so we'll just change it to court 3. And then right now we have, some of the coaches are out there 10 hours, 4-hour blocks usually. Do you want to limit any of those? Right now, we have a suggestion of up to 5 hours per day.
That's during prime time, right? 5 hours.
During prime, yes. So prime
Uh.
time would be the 5 to 10 o'clock range.
I
Right.
think it's a lot of hours, right? In prime time, 5 hours is a lot of time. I think thinking about reducing it, then public
Right,
will
but
see more
they can
hours
only do
available.
that 6 times a month, it seems like.
5 hours per day,
Yeah. I mean, they would
It's a lot.
exhaust that limit pretty fast.
and prime time, yeah, it's a
And-
lot.
And prime time is weekends also, from
Yeah,
8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. So they will exhaust that 5 hours pretty quickly. But a lot of 2 things I would like to add here. One is that I think we should reduce that to 4 hours prime time. And moreover, I think we should only allow coaching for a certain period of time,
Yeah.
for example, 3 to 7 or, 4 to 8. Because kids gotta get out of school, they come for coaching, they're done by 7, go home, have dinner, do your homework, and get ready for school. So there's no need for them to be at the courts till 9 a.m. for 9 p.m. for coaching. So
Question. When you're talking about coaching, are you talking about outside of Mountain House coaches coming to use our courts to teach tennis? Or are you talking about Mountain House Tennis Club?
So there are combination of both. There are coaches from they're authorized coaching from Mountain House, but then there are some folks that's showing up and reserving courts and using them for coaching without authorization of CST.
So if they're outside of Mountain House, that's something different. But if they're coaching for Mountain House tennis or high school, I think that's something different. Because what I want to get clarification on is Mountain House or people coming from outside using our courts to teach.
So that's defined in
Yes.
the application process. Right now, we're just kind of defining what commercial use is. So right now, we're defining commercial use as lesson program, a league, or a tournament. It's primarily lesson programs in Mountain House. Right now, they have a huge amount of hours per week. They're taking up court 1 and sometimes court 3, taking time away from the public to utilize the courts. So the commission has to decide, how are we going to limit commercial users regardless if they're from out of Mountain House or within Mountain House? Are we going to limit them per day? Do we want to incentivize them to book the courts during non-prime time hours? Do we want to limit during prime time hours? Do we want to limit which days of the week?
Laura, do we have any information on how many students this organization or the organizations collectively
No.
have? No, okay.
No, right now we don't require any of that information. We don't collect any information from any of our commercial users. And so the allocation process, we will have to know. So with this new application that's due 28 days in advance, we will then know who you are, where you're coming from, where are your students coming from? Are you serving adults? Are you serving children? I hope that answered your question.
one question, the commercial use only can be done in the Central Park, or high school also available?
The high school does not allow, the school district does not allow commercial use of their courts.
Okay, so only Central Park, and I think it's a good point, President Vishal, that you brought to limit the hours and only certain hours between 3 to 6, for example. It's very common done by other cities also. so that public have more space to play there, like 3 to 6 p.m., for example, is one idea. And limiting the hours to 3 hours a day, maybe.
3 to 6 makes sense for the kids of
Exactly.
school.
Exactly.
But a lot of the adults get in here late. You know, that
They come from
if,
school.
if there are, I don't know, we don't have the data, I guess, whether or not there are adult lessons right now.
And not all parents can get their kids to lessons before 6 o'clock because they might not be back in town either.
Okay, so Laura, I think the recommendation is for coaching, commercial coaching use, limited to 3 to 6. So that would be 3 hours of usage per day. I think whether it's prime time, because 3 is not prime time, so 3 to 6, I guess, is what has been recommended.
I think if prime time is from 8 to 1 and 5 to 10, then open should be from 1 to 5 or 1 to 6.
Coaching should
Yeah.
be from 1 to 5.
Yeah. Or 1 to 5 or 1 to 6, because it gives kids an opportunity to get out of school, do coaching, but if there's other coaching done, not, that can come earlier, then since it's not prime time, then we'll open that up for them.
So it's 1 to 6, but would you still limit how many hours of coaching can be done by a group? One group could, because there's only
Well,
one.
that's limiting their hours right there. If we cut it down between 1 and 5 or 1 and 6, that's automatically limiting their hours that they can coach per day.
That is correct. But now, would you limit that hours also so there could be multiple coaching done on that same day?
Well, for keeping them all on court 1, they'll only be able to do coaching for 3 hours. 3 to 6.
I think
Is that
3
what
is a good number.
Court 3, right?
3
I'm sorry,
hours.
yeah, court 3.
Code 3, yes.
So I think if we're gonna, this is just my proposal, and again, I think if we're going to limit their coaching and put them on 1 court, and we have prime time from 8 to 1, and then from 5 to 10, then
8
they
to
should
1
be
on
able to.
on weekends only.
So 8 to 1 prime time is only on weekends. So weekdays, prime time is only 5 to 10.
So during the week, it's not 8 to 1 and
No.
5 to 10,
Only 5 to 10
only 5 to 10, and then on the weekends, it's 8 to 1
and 5 to 10.
and 5 to, okay, got it. I thought it was standard, 8 to 1, 5 to 10.
Yeah.
Which could be, because if you want to play in the morning, then that can help you. But my suggestion was just that the hours that aren't prime time, then allow coaching on the court that they can coach on.
And Laura, I think we should consider making 8 to 1 during the weekdays also, because during summer break, then again, we get into the same situation where the courts get monopolized by coaching in the morning.
Okay. So you want to, so the purpose of stating prime time is really to encourage renters to use the courts during non-prime time hours. So I still think we should incentivize coaches to use the courts during non-prime time hours. I think this.
Okay, I got it. I think, yeah, I think I got it. That, I think this is perfect the way it is.
Okay.
I can see it, yeah.
Also, I think we're assuming that most of the coaching is done for children, and it probably is, but also we're also assuming that all of the parents are able to take them to the courts from 3 to 6. Keep in mind, a lot of lessons are later in the evening because parents can't get them to coach till after 6. So do you still want to keep coaching limited to 3 to 6 p.m. on court 3 only?
That is my recommendation, but the other parents here, they can chime in.
Remember, public comment can be after.
Yes, we can have public
Okay.
comment.
Okay.
Could you repeat the recommendation again, Chair?
Laura, can you please repeat the recommendation we discussed?
The commission is recommending that coaching be limited to court 3 from 3 to 6 p.m. per day. Is that correct?
During prime time hours, right?
Coaching is,
Or is it all the coaching,
Overall coaching 3 to 6 only.
3 hours a day?
That's including weekends? Is that including weekends or just weekdays?
Including, so weekends, we can, yeah, this is weekdays only, 3 to 6.
what would you like to do for weekends?
See, the way it's written right now is they will get 5 hours,
Up to 5 hours.
up
They
to
don't
5
have to
hours,
do-
maximum of 30 hours during prime time. But any other time they could use whatever many hours, correct?
Correct. That is to incentivize them to use the courts during non-prime time hours.
Right. So I think just limiting them to 3 hours, that would be a little excessive. I mean, if you can limit them 3 hours to prime time, that's fine.
But they'll have access to the courts during non-prime time hours. Is that what we're saying? See, I think that's where the confusion is coming in. When we're talking about
Correct. That is
prime time
correct.
hours. The courts, what time do the courts open?
7 a.m.
It's 7 a.m.
So from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., the courts are free for open play. So if someone wants to coach during those hours, non-prime time, are they able to do that?
They can now, and under this policy, they can.
Okay.
So I think they will have a lot of chances if 3 hours, if we limit it, but they can still come in the non-prime hours and do it.
For unlimited, or do you want to limit them to only 3 hours?
During the non-prime hour, I think about also limiting that maybe just like, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours. That way you have some open space available to the public.
We have open space available to the public because we've already put them on one court. So they're on
Yeah.
court 3, and so court 1 and 2 is open for non-coaching, just open play for residents. So, I mean, I don't see how much more we can limit without just not allowing them to coach. If
Right.
that's what we're trying to do, say no coaching allowed, because at this point, it's.
No, that's okay.
We can't take much more away.
Yeah, I mean, the town is growing, right? And you have to be mindful.
Yeah, it makes sense to have, if it's only one court, then you're still allowing the other 2 courts to the public.
And I think Laura question is, this is just temporary, because when we do get the other courts, we will revisit this.
We will. However, this policy is this new policy is lined up so that it will be effective on the new courts. So it'll be the same. We'll just have more courts.
But we'll have to designate which ones will be for, like, we'll have to designate a new court 3.
Correct.
Hmm.
So right now we have 3 known groups that utilize the courts. They all reserve the courts up to 36 hours a week. And that is significantly impacting the public's access to the courts. It's providing a service. It's providing a service to youth, but it is limiting a lot of public use. So the commission is challenged with coming up with a process and policy that's equitable for the commercial user who is providing a service, but also limiting their access right now because it's up to 36 hours. So allowing the public to use it more often. So I think we're trying to come up with something that's right there in the middle. That's a sweet spot. If we encourage them to use the park during non-prime time hours, I would incentivize them some way. I would give them either more hours during non-prime time or maybe reduced fees. But during that 5 to 10 p.m., that's when I think you really need to come up with a policy that really limits commercial use on the courts.
And giving them more hours in the non-prime hours.
That's
is
just
better. Yeah.
more hours. It doesn't have to be unlimited hours, but perhaps there's some incentive for them to do it during the
So-
non-prime.
So yeah, we don't want the pendulum to swing the totally on the other side either.
Right.
So, yeah. So how about if, if we go from 1 to 7 on code 3, every 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. on code 3 every day. And those are the hours that they can use. And we can, that way they have a lot of time,
Mhm.
almost 6 hours worth of coaching every day.
Does that include weekends?
And weekend and plus weekends. And for weekends, we can do the same thing, like, let them use the code 3 again from, during the prime time from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and
The prime time,
yeah,
8 to 1 is prime time. So non-prime is 1 to 5.
Yeah.
On weekends.
and I mean, on weekends, we can also do something similar. We can do code 3, some prime time plus non-prime time. So maybe they can start from 8 to 12 and something like that.
Are you talking about Saturday?
Saturday, Sunday.
Saturday, Sunday, 8 to 12 is prime time.
Yeah.
From 12 to,
1 to
what-
8 to 1 is prime time.
8 to 1 is prime time.
Yeah.
1 to
1 to 5 is non-prime time.
open play.
Yeah.
5 to
10 is prime time.
prime time, Saturday, Sunday.
So top of page 6.
Say that again.
It's at the top of page 6, the prime time hours.
Laura, you mentioned there are 3 organizations currently using 36 hours per organization
Correct. Yep, per week.
per week. So considering enough time for the 3 to have their students be coached, that would be the right mix. That would be my recommendation, Chair. At least 2 hours each, which is what you have said. 1 to 7 gives them 6 hours. Maybe some setup time, wrap up time, I don't know. Noon to 7. Weekdays is what I was suggesting. Right.
But the kids are not out of school. That's why I recommended 1 to 7. But we can make it 12 to 7 also.
The idea here is to encourage them to use non-prime
Yeah.
hours, right? Yeah.
So 8 to 12 and maybe 3 to 6 on weekends.
Eight to 1 and 3 to 6 on weekends.
Yeah. 3 to 6 include a little bit of prime and non-prime both.
You're missing 2 hours in there. So it's
8 to 12 and 3 to 6.
So what are you gonna do between 12 and 3?
Hmm?
What's
That,
happening between 12 and 3?
that time can be used by public.
Public. We have constrained, I think the issue which we saw before Laura discussed, because of commercial use, people need having issues. This will free up a little bit space.
So no coaching will be allowed between 6 and 10 PM.
That is correct, yes.
Wait, on
Weekends or weekdays.
weekdays, I thought court 3 was gonna be available for that.
Until 7, we agreed, right?
Yeah, 1 to 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after 7, Laura. No coaching.
Okay. All right, I'm hearing a lot of different times. I can always go back and listen to this recording afterwards, but can we just confirm one more time when you want coaching to happen?
I'll answer that, Laura. So I think what we decided is that on weekdays, it's going to be from 1 to 7, 1 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay,
on code 3.
okay,
And then on weekends, what I've heard is from 8 to 12 on code 3, and then 3 to 7 on code 3.
okay. So
So-
that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm done.
8, okay. So that's 58 hours per week for coaching.
That's total coaching, right? 58 hours?
Yeah, yeah. Now, do you want to put a limit on the user?
Yes, I think we should do that also.
So not one particular group can monopolize all of the hours.
Total 30 hours.
Yeah, 30 is a good number, each user.
So what's the recommendation on here where it says 20 hours per week compared to 36 now? Is that your recommendation, Laura?
That's staff's recommendation, just because 36 seemed excessive.
I think that's a good recommendation.
20, I just came up with 20 hours based on the 5 hours per day. All of the coaches aren't on the courts every single day. So I figured if they had up to 5 hours per day, that would be like 4 days a week they might be on the court.
That makes sense. 20 hours per week compared to 36 hours. Okay. That's fine.
Okay,
Do we want to put an upper limit on per month also?
Wait, let me revisit that because
But
that's
that
only 2 hours.
20 also, yeah.
That's like 2.5 hours per day if we're going 7 days.
Yeah.
Are we going 7 days or are we going 5? 5 days. Okay.
Yeah, coach
So-
also.
right now we have a potential 58 hours a week assigned for coaching.
Right.
So if we want to evenly kind of divide that amongst the groups, we would say any coach can only go up to 20 hours per week.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's correct. That's fine.
Okay. And then what will happen though is during the allocation process, if we get 4 or 5 coaches, at some point we'll have to allocate them based on their priority. And then at that point, we'll have to tell the lowest priority group, I'm sorry, there's only 4 hours left in the week for you to book.
Can you repeat the last part, please?
Yes, so when we get to the allocation part of it, of this policy, the lowest priority group there may only be 3 or 4 hours left in the week for them to coach. But that's just the way it's gonna have to be based on priority.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. And Laura, the other thing, we can limit some of this lowest priority groups are, is there any way we can enforce that person who's coaching is certified by certain, um, organization who certifies tennis coaches?
You as a commission can certainly add that.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'm not sure what that organization is, but I can look into that.
There's a USPTA or USPTR. Or we can just say a certified instructor.
Okay, yeah,
So we can add that to the application process in addition to their insurance.
yes, that makes sense, yes.
And what is that purpose? I just want to understand what you think that purpose would serve.
The purpose, it would serve as, right now, there are a lot of, actually, a lot of unauthorized coaching going on. First of all, they don't seek any permission from CSD.
Mhm.
And secondly, they are, and then they just get kids together, collect money from them and provide coaching, when they are not really or they don't have the skills to coach. So if you're not if you're certified, then if you are collecting money, then at least you're providing some knowledge, or somebody certified you that you are fit to coach, or you know what you're talking about, tennis.
Mhm. Okay.
So that is the purpose.
Yep. Then I'm going to add that to our policies because that will show the public and the community that the CSD values the quality over the quantity. We value the quality of the instruction that's being put on in our courts. So I will find a place to add that in here.
Yeah, and then if and I would say that you also add that if you have a sub coach or assistant coach, they need to be certified as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
So how is that different than what is already said here under commercial use? That the instruction has to be offered by a certified professional right now. That's what is in here.
So right now it's really not clarified, but I can add that under a commercial user. A commercial user is offering a private lesson must be certified and present certifications with their
I
application.
see. Yeah, so you'll basically make it mandatory as opposed to a suggestion at this time.
Right, right, correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Chair Nair, would you like me to continue on?
And Laura, I think on the timing for the coaching and what times, we have a lot of public comments, and they can make their recommendation also, or what they feel is appropriate. So we can, yeah.
All right, so just moving on. We just defined that the long-term user, we just took out, let's see, what did we do here? Long-term use may only be on Central Park. So long-term use for commercial users is not allowed at Mountain House High School if it's lesson-based. So, but however, leagues and tournaments are approved. So I would suggest if we get a request for long-time use for league play, that it be delegated to the high school. However, I understand that because our courts are the only courts that have lights, we may want to consider keeping them at Central Park. Now that I'm thinking out loud.
Yeah, I agree with that for league play and for because of the lights, and a lot of the league play is league players are adults and they're usually working in Bay Area, so have them that ability to play under lights is important.
Yeah, okay. So we'll allow league pay at both courts. I do believe that any tournaments though should be played at the high school.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. If you look above long-term usage, it does define league play may only be used court 2 at Central Park and or 3 courts at Mountain House High School. Is there any comment about that? Keeping league play just to 1 court?
I think if we're gonna, we charge for leagues to have tournaments here, correct?
You're correct.
So I think if we're going to allow someone to book a tournament, especially 6 months in advance, and charge them, then that day should be for that particular tournament.
So league play isn't necessarily tournament, that's just competition amongst players in the league.
So
I'm
if-
just wondering if you want to delegate them to court 2 only.
Um,
Since we have a 1 court for coaching, this is
Yeah.
commercial use. If
Yeah.
it is commercial, we'll limit to 1 court. It will align with the other.
I thought we were talking about tournaments.
We're talking about league play.
so Laura,
Just-
you recommending league play may only use court 2 at Central Park and or 3, so any 3 courts at Mountain House High School and court 2 only at Central Park.
Yes, because league play is booked in advance. Right now, it's approximately 4 hours an evening.
Yeah.
So under our current policy, court 1 would have coaching on it. Well, actually, it wouldn't anymore if it's over at 3 to 6. I guess what I'm asking the commission is if you want to define league play and if you want to relegate them to just 1 court or just leave it as is.
I'm fine with that, but we can probably do, probably provide court 1, court 2 for league play. In the evenings, and then, have the option to do 3 courts at Mountain House on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
What's the difference between league play and tournaments?
If-
So,
Oh, go ahead.
so I'll try it, Laura, then you can.
Mm.
So league play is where there are residents of Mountain House and they form teams and they play against each other. And there is a Mountain House tennis organization that conducts those leagues. And usually tournaments are, many times these are team-based leagues. So there's village against village. So there's there is 3 or 4 double matches, two single matches. So they go through the league, playing against each other, playing semifinals, finals. Whereas tournament is, league can go on for a couple of months. And tournament is usually 1 day or a 2-day tournament where, just kids come and play in some format, either superset or, and then they move on to final. So tournament is usually only 2 days and it's for kids. So usually it's done during the daytime. You don't need lights for that.
Hi, this is Vimal here. Is it okay? Can I comment or I have to wait for some time?
There will be public comment section, so please, if you wait for that.
Okay. So whatever.
Laura, please continue.
Okay. So right now tournaments are allowed at the high school courts. And this would allow leaving Central primarily open for lessons and public use. And then at our last commission meeting, we talked about the walk-on user. So walk-on use is allowed without a reservation. However, they risk having to leave the court if it has been reserved. So right now, and we've just defined it in our policies, that any open court is allowed for any walk-on. However, if the reservation party shows up, the players that walked on will have to leave. In order to enforce this, though, we are going to suggest that we start posting reservations up on the tennis board that is out at the courts right now. Did you-
Laura,
Mhm.
just to make it a little bit more complicated, can we all, if somebody makes a reservation and does not show up for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, then they cannot kick people off the court?
Sure, if you'd like to use that, that is usually a recommendation from most
Okay.
cities use that. So do you want to add that component, like maybe after 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. And since our allocation process and our discounts rely on nonprofit status, we're going to have that same nonprofit organization verification form that we have discussed with our previous policies. We'll change that, we'll take out the text about the principal address being in Mountain House. Any comments about that? So as far as now I'll move on then. As far as the court allocation process, it's similar to what we have for our fields. Group A would be district programs, the school district, or any organization that has an MOU with us. For example, if the district decides to offer tennis lessons, or if we contract with an outside organization to offer tennis lessons, they would be considered Group A, but we don't have any of those programs right now. Group B, however, are defined as the nonprofit organizations. Nonprofit youth sports have priority over nonprofit adult sports programs, assuming that they have 75 members or more that reside in Mountain House. So in order for a youth tennis coach to be able to get a higher priority, they have to provide us with their rosters. Again, we have to verify that they have Mountain House residents in their lessons. Then the next priority group would be just the residents residing in Mountain House. And then after that would be non-residents or commercial users if they are not able to provide their nonprofit status. That could be just some commercial user. He might be a certified instructor out in Livermore and he wants to come teach at our courts. He would now be down in Group D as far as classification. So groups A, B, and C would receive priority.
Quick question, Laura.
Yes.
Coaches will fall under Group D.
Provided that they are nonprofit coaches.
Yeah, non-profit, if they are non-profit.
Yes. Now, the two organizations that rent from us have both proven their nonprofit status. However, we haven't asked for rosters yet because that's not a current policy.
They will fall under Group D, right?
Correct. If
Okay.
they cannot prove that they're a nonprofit, they would fall under Group D, even if they are from Mountain House.
No, that's right. One more question. Since Group B, which includes all the nonprofit, and provided they show the 75% membership reside in
Mhm.
Mountain House, and Group C resident, just throwing this idea that to the commission that should those be combined so that the residents, they have the same classification, Group B and C. That way, because I think if we look at Group A, B, C, D, the most who make reservation or play are Group C, right?
No, well, Group B1 book the
Okay.
courts the most. And they receive priority right now. They're allowed to book it 30 days in advance.
Just throwing this, that you think Group C should be with Group B2 to have the same priority classification?
Now, this classification is for long-term use, not for one day. So
I
if
think
I, as
I-
a resident, I'm sorry, if I, as a resident of Mountain House, want to book long-term use, I want to book it every Monday for the next 20 weeks, then I would fall under classification group C.
Okay.
So this has nothing to do with individual trying, so
No.
this is just for commercial use who wants to book long term.
Okay.
And I
Yep.
think,
Or residents.
yeah, or, yeah. And Laura, is this similar to what we discussed for the, for our other policy?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's,
so,
it's the same classification.
okay, yeah.
Sorry,
So-
one more question. So for short term, will this be same classification or as
No.
first come first?
No, this classification is for long-term only.
Okay.
And again, long-term is for 3 months at a time.
We got it.
And residents are encouraged, if they want to book a court for that long, they can. Right now, I think, right now, we just allow public to rent the courts, a week at a time. But in this policy, they can book as far out as they want. However, for long-term use, even a resident would have to then provide their insurance, they'd have to provide an application. There's a little bit more involved.
Will there be any limit on number of days for one user in long term? No.
This is not for individual use.
Long-term, here on page 9, consists of 6 or more rental days per month, 1 hour or more per rental.
Okay.
So Laura, I think we've discussed this, we've beaten this horse to death
Right.
many times, so I think we move on. The only one thing I want to discuss is legacy organizations. So right now they have priority over booking, so I think we can have a discussion on that, because if there is an organization that is not legacy, but they're offering a better service, then they should be on the equal standing with the legacy organization, or we can do something, after 2 years, every organization has the same standing, or something to that effect.
Then that needs to be added here. So right now, the legacy and historical use just refers to that organization who's had a long-standing programs here in town. So if you want to make them on equal standing with a new organization, we need to put that in here somehow.
Right, yeah. So they have the same priority over for reservations.
For new organizations, correct? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
that's correct. Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Or if not, or if if the other option. So one is just any organization, new or old, has the same standing, or you can say any organization to get a legacy status or historical status, they have to be making reservations for at least 2 years with for Mountain House CST.
Okay, so you want a legacy organization is one that's been here for 2 years.
Yeah, that's one option. So I'm fine either way. We can ask for other recommendations.
I think there is a merit to the time frame, 2 year or 1 year, whatever that is, as opposed to a brand new organization that hasn't gotten their act together yet. But I also understand your point, Chair, that you cannot go on like that forever. At some point, you have to draw the line. But I think it has to be fair to
Yeah.
the newcomer as well as the established outfit.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
actually, Commissioner Raj, I think I have clarification on this point now, because for example, we have a legacy organization that's providing a service and we're satisfied with it, but then a new organization comes in and they want to provide a service and we have no historical data on them, and so we could actually not knowing what they offer, and they have a same priority, they make the reservations. Now we have a really substandard product, so we should at least give them 2 years to prove themselves to become a legacy organization. So so I agree what you said. So Laura, that was really long-winded, but I think having some time frame, 2 years or something probably makes sense.
Okay. I can add that to the definition of legacy organization or historical use. I'll say 2 years or more in good standing.
I think I would not want to we're to set policy and procedure. I don't think we should get into determining whose organization is better than the other ones. If that organization is not following the proper policies and procedures that we set forth in this commission, then, there might be an issue, but I don't want to get into, the whole legacy thing, it's only because we already have organizations, very few, that have been here for a long time. And so I just think that whole legacy thing for me, I wouldn't even say legacy, but again, my point is I don't want to get into determining whose organization is ran better than the next ones, because that's for opinions and people's perspective, because what I like, you might not like. So I don't want to, that's a gray area. So I don't want to get involved with that part of it.
If we
Set our
call it in,
policies.
if we say in good standing, that would imply as long as they've been submitting their paperwork correctly, they've submitted all their fees, they haven't gone against any of our rules and regulations, would that suffice? Commissioner Green? If we said 2 years in good standing.
Yes. But then the rest of, their performance is public to decide, right? So whether they like their services or not, so. But yes, that's fine.
And I think we probably should maybe do it a year instead of 2, because it's important to make sure, the one thing I think we should make sure is that their paperwork is up to date and not expired, or working on, a not having an updated nonprofit status, things like that. Those are the things that concern me.
So you saying do 1 year?
And yes, 1 year instead of
As-
2.
Okay. So Laura, 1 year.
I think let me clarify that, like a review after a year to make sure that if we don't have complaints prior to that.
Sounds good. So I think the sentiment is that, we shouldn't hold back anybody from legacy, being a legacy. So, but 1 year is a good time for them to prove themselves and, get on board with the Mountain House CSD programs and paperwork.
Okay. Okay, I'll make that update. Okay, so moving on, the short-term allocation process, I will update this to reflect our previous discussion on booking, which was on page 8. So we want to go ahead and let the residents reserve the courts. I believe it was 5 1-hour times. And we want to take out the term during prime time or unlimited hours during prime time. Correct?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what we discussed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we
But
want to
again-
still,
Yeah, that's fine.
okay, then we just want to limit non-residents to 1 hour per week. I just kind of went through and cleaned up the policy a little bit, just to remove some unneeded language regarding things like the garbage. Previously, in the rental policies, it said if you had 150 people or more, it would be considered a private event, but our courts, we don't have enough courts that would satisfy 150 people, so I just took that out.
I just want to add one more thing to that,
Mhm.
Laura, that actually, that's under prohibited actions and items, if you're there.
Okay. We updated the pet and leash policy because ironically, we saw somebody out on the courts the other day with their dog unleashed. Assumingly, they were using it for like a dog park. So we just want to make sure we said that only service animals only. And then we referenced the Muni code. The prohibited items were taken directly from our current policies. No subleasing is allowed. Again, that basically means an organization can't use their reservation and let somebody else use the courts for commercial use.
So can we also add another thing to that? I've noticed that there are a lot of coaches who bring really heavy medicine ball and they throw it against the fence. And then all this damages the wind curtain. And
Okay.
so I think we should also add something to the fact that no throwing medicine balls against the fence or hitting balls against the fence.
Okay. I'll put that under our prohibited items.
Yeah.
Do you want to limit the teaching materials that people can bring onto the courts? Like the medicine balls, or just not, they just can't throw them against the fence?
Yeah, just not throw them against the.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Before I jump over to the refund policy, I just want to bring your attention to the bottom of page 14 here, where it discusses the discounts. Again, these discounts were the same that were applied to the previous rentals. This is assuming that the residents pay the base rate and that the nonprofits pay a discounted rate and commercial users and non-residents pay an add-on rate. Are you comfortable with this discount policy?
This is the same as our other policy, so I think it should be fine.
Okay.
Quick question, master fee schedule, Laura, will that be published later on sometime?
Yes, the CSD publishes a master fee schedule. However, the parks and recreation fees are not included in that. So at a future meeting, I'll be presenting the pricing guideline policy, as well as I'm doing a fee assessment on all of our fees that we charge, everything from a picnic table to a sports field.
Okay, thank you.
So that will be brought back. The refund policy was just updated a little bit. We are charged a lot of transaction fees for all of the refunds. We get dozens of refund requests every day because people cancel the courts. And the courts are only $3 an hour. Sometimes it's even $1.50. So we just changed the policy to reflect that if you have a credit of $15 or more, then we'll go ahead and process your refund. At the last commission meeting, we talked about suspending renters who cancel at least 5 times, suspending them for a month. Because the cancellations cause the courts to be unused. It doesn't allow other users to rent the courts. Is this something that you want to go ahead and keep in?
Ms. Green?
I feel like if they cancel more than 3 days in a row, then they should be held for 28 days from being able to book again. 5 days for me is excessive. You should know whether you're going to come within 3 days.
3 days a month or
3 times. If they cancel 3 times,
Yeah.
then they should not be able to book again for 28 days, not 5 times, because that takes up a lot of space from people that could have used those courts.
Right. So I think, Laura, the recommendation is 3 days a week or 3 days a month or 3 consecutive days.
I think
Whatever.
right now the system keeps track of how many times somebody cancels it. Do you want to, so they could have canceled it once back in December, they could cancel it now in February. Do you want to just do it within a 30-day period?
Yes, 30-day period.
Okay. So on that third cancellation, we will then suspend them for 28 days or 4 weeks.
Yes.
How would you like, do you want to penalize the person that doesn't show up to their rental? Or do you want to penalize just the people that contact me and say, I'd like to cancel on the reservation?
No shows.
Yeah, a no-show, yeah.
I also feel like if people are gonna book and then no show, I don't feel like they should get a refund either, because I think that, people will just book it to just have the time, and then if they
Mhm.
just no show, they know they're gonna get their money back. So there's really no penalty for wasting somebody's time.
I do find though that when somebody cancels the reservation, that it's quickly picked up by somebody else. So we don't always have a lot of open court space, but it does take up a lot of admin time to go through and do all the refunds.
Yeah, I think a no show, no call, no show is a no refund.
Okay, so that's listed here under cancellations. We need at least a minimum of 7 calendar days to take care of it, but if it's 6 or less, everything.
Laura, one question in the beginning, I think you were showing, sharing some information in terms of last minute cancellation. Were those like less than 7 days cancellation?
It's a minimum of 7 days to notify us for cancellation.
But usually people book it back. If somebody cancel within 7 days, what kind of trends you have seen?
Oh, I've seen that people will cancel sometimes a day before, but somebody else will always pick it up. The courts rarely ever go without a reservation.
Okay.
But we really do need to discourage the continual cancellations, because I feel like, especially with the new policy now, people are going to be booking quite a bit more, and then they might be finding out they're not going to play. So we really want to discourage those kinds of bookings and excessive cancellations.
Is 7 days enough or should be longer, like 10 days or something? 7 is fine.
From a staff's perspective, I think 7 days is sufficient.
I think it's 7 days. If you cancel, you will be eligible to get a refund. But if you do a no call, no show, you don't get a
No,
refund.
Right.
correct.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, and moving on. Unauthorized users who reserve a court for personal use and use it for commercial use will have future reservations canceled. We added this after our last discussion at last month's meeting, because we do notice that there's a lot of users out there that rent it under aliases, and then they end up having lessons. The only thing is that we don't have enough staff right now to monitor it, but we are working on maybe designing something where staff will do random visits out at the tennis courts and check reservations. We'll also be posting all of the permits and all of the reservations on the board, so that other users will know who's supposed to be on the courts. And whether they decide to let staff know, it'll be up to the renter. Any comments?
Laura, Laura, could we require them to come in and show their ID before they go to the court?
Well, they could very well have it under their personal name. It's just that what they're doing is they're ending up having lessons instead of just play with a family member.
Got it.
So it's really comes down to how we're going to enforce this policy. So we're going to try and work with staff to have them do random visits, or we'll post the reservations on the board.
Yeah, so what we want to discourage or eliminate is people trying, reserving a coach and then collecting 5 or 6 people and coaching them without permit
Right.
or without authorization, yeah.
Right, right. And then if they are caught to do this, we'll suspend them for 30 days.
All right, thank you, Laura. We can move on to the
Mhm.
next.
That was it. So again, the questions to ask ourselves, do they make sense? Are they easy to understand? Do they address the concerns of the public, of the staff? Do they meet the values of the commission and the board? So now the chair will open it up to public comment and the alternate commissioners' comments if they have any more. Again, you don't have to approve these policies today. We can move to bring them back to a future meeting if you want to add some of these new comments or gather more comments from the community. I do have 2 emails that were sent to me this afternoon that I'd like to share. I'm not sure if you had time to see them or not.
So Laura, should we ask commissioners if they have any clarification questions, or we pass that? I think we had a good discussion, so they might.
Yeah, it's probably good for the good of the order to ask, but I think we took care of a lot of those clarification questions.
All right. Nobody seems interested, so okay. We can move to public comments. We can start with the emails, Laura.
Laura, Satish Singh is here. He would like to make a public comment. He emailed you today.
Yeah, and in fact, I have his email up on your
Okay.
screen.
Mr. Singh, did you want to come up to the table? You can go, the microphone over there is working.
That doesn't work, speaker.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Ms. Singh, okay.
Good evening, everyone. This is Mrs. Singh. Mr. Singh is sitting behind me. And thank you, first of all. I'm glad that we are thinking about the policy change. It was much needed. The policies we currently have are old. A lot of things which mentioned there in the petition we have submitted is already addressed. I'm glad to see that. But some of the points I would like to mention, that seeing there was a need for a policy change, we started this petition, and 125 community members have signed it. It shows the consensus here. One thing which I want to highlight here is, which nobody's talking is, we agree we are having commercial renters and they are coaches. I want to promote coaching. My own daughter is 13-year-old. She's aspiring to be a professional tennis player. But I commute to Manteca 3 days a week from last 2 years to get coaching. The reason is the coaches we have here in Mountain House, they're charging any amount. So I want to make a cap where if you are an NPO and you are saying you're doing it for community, then you cannot come and charge $70 per hour and use public court. I'm going Manteca because I'm paying $45 an hour there. And I'm doing that for last 2 years, 3 days a week. So all I want, that's my choice because I cannot afford $70 an hour coaching. All I want to raise here is if a commercial is coming with the intention of NPO, there should be a cap on how much they can charge. They cannot just charge any ridiculous amount and say they're NPO. I don't believe in those kind of NPOs. So if they are using public codes, they should be serving public. And that should be for all, regardless of their status, what they can afford. So I want somewhere in the policy to be placed there how much they can charge. We can take references of the cities around us. We have Manteca, we have Lathorpe. We can take a reference and we can put a cap that if you are doing a private coaching or tournaments, how much is the max you can charge? I think that will encourage the actual usage of the code for public. Because any NPO can come and claim anything because we're not having any control over there. They can say we are NPOs, but they can charge any ridiculous amount for the tournaments. Another thing which I want to bring in is if NPOs are serving Mountain House community and the courts are being used by Mountain House residents, there should be a number of students. If it's a group lesson and we have 10 kids in a one group, how many should be from the community? They cannot just bring in 10 kids from Livermore and do coaching on our courts. So number of kids, the quota, it can be your 80-20, 70-30. I would let the commissioners decide that ratio. Second thing I want to emphasize on again, and the money, how much they can charge for group lessons and for private coaching. That's the second point. Third, I think you guys already addressed the prime time. There was a lot of confusion because I think I was not able to understand what exactly got decided. But once I see that, I think that's one thing which we were raising there, the prime time. And the second thing is, as you are saying, the policing. I know we are public courts. We cannot afford to have people to police around, but we can create a system where the community can be the police. So if somebody is reserving a court, everybody can see reservation. We have tennis enthusiasts here. If they click a picture and they send it, it should be acceptable as evidence. So I don't believe that we can afford to have enough policing where they can go and physically check that who is booking and who's actually using it. So if there is a court booked by someone alias name and they are using it for coaching, any community tennis member or any member, regardless of whether they're playing tennis or not, they should be able to take a picture and send it. We can motivate that throughout the tennis community, that if you're seeing a misuse, take a picture and send it to the staff members, the commission members, and then action should be taken accordingly. That's one. Mr. Singh, did I miss anything? Yes, a lot of those points are already taken care. I think transparency is what we were motivating, but transparency, I think we are changing that. So a lot of times when we have come and requested something, we have seen that the talks get navigated towards, the talks will always get navigated towards. No.
Mr.
on the-
Singh, does the button work on the
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
No?
okay, I think I will just give him the seat.
Okay, I'll restart the timer.
Okay. No, as Neetu said, I think most of the concern that we raised through petition have been addressed here. And I'm so glad, we're all thinking same thing, what we see here. And we're trying to, fix the problem that we have here. So, yeah, we have only 3 codes. I don't know how long we will be living with these 3 codes. Hopefully we can get more. But until then, we have to manage this so that everybody gets equal time. And I'm glad that we are addressing it.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. So, yeah, great comments about capping how much can be charged, and 75% is has to be Mountain House residents for the coaching. So, but yeah, we'll discuss the other points also. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
One was a cap, second was the percentage, and the third was one more point. Yep. Yep. Those 2 things. Copy it.
If somebody is misusing the code and somebody submits the evidence, they can take a picture and send it. Like, hey, I'm here right now. So that should be submitted as an evidence and taken action on.
Point of order, if you have a public comment, you need to make it on the microphone because the recording won't pick it up and people on Zoom can't hear you.
All right, Raghu, please.
So let's just summarize real quick on the microphone what she asked. So she asked to look into the average cost for coaching. A percentage of the kids have to be from Mountain House, and the misuse of coaches using the courts. So those are the three items that she's really concerned about.
And then one
Thank you.
recommendation she has is that any community member or any player should be able to take the picture and submit it to CST. Raghu, please.
Yes, thank you. Again, great summarization of our concerns. We all signed the petition. I also would like to add one thing is in order to really streamline the process, maybe the coaches can be just say engaged through CSD. So CSD is the one that will take care of the reservations for coaching, and also the sign up of the students can happen through CSD. So you exactly know how much they are charging. So that way, there's no differentiation between coaches, right? So every coach will charge this much amount, like $25, whatever, per hour. So you know who is registering, how much are they charging, you can control it because they're NPO. So that way, all these extra activities can be minimized.
Okay, great comment. We'll discuss that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You have to
Chairperson
get on the
Nair,
mic.
we do have at least 3 comments on Zoom as well.
Can we restart our clock, please?
All right, I'm sorry, I missed one point. Right now, there is we have limited who can be the co-chair, and new coaches are not getting enrolled. So can we come up with a policy that how can we balance it? Because we don't want to make a monopoly that only these 2 coaches, they were the first one to enter the market, and they are holding the market now. Nobody can new come. So I don't know what is the best solution is, but we should be able to encourage new coaches and introduce them. So currently, like right now, the situation is there are new coaches there are example of coaches like Anupam who's doing free classes for the kids to promote tennis, but he's not able to apply to coach in Mountain House because they are saying, hey, we are not taking new coaches. So yeah, that's the situation. So I just wanted you guys to think about a way where new coaches can be introduced and not just 2 or 3 coaches hold a monopoly in the market. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments here? Because we have some comments on Zoom also. Hey, Angad?
Hello, Angad Wular. Great meeting. Just might like to make maybe one suggestion for cancellations. I think from what I heard was that if you cancel 7 days, you get a refund, but if after 7 days, you don't. I think we should let people cancel even a day before, because that will open up doors for other people who want to play the same day. A lot of times when we want to play, we don't plan 7 days ahead. We feel like playing tennis today. It's a great time. We have 4 friends and we get together. But you can limit where you can cancel an hour before, or sorry, a day before, but limit maybe 5 cancellations per month, and you can get credit for 5. If you're a serial canceller, then maybe no refunds. But I think that will open up courts for other people as well. The second point I'd like to make, I'm not in favor of the term legacy coaches or legacy organizations. I think everybody should have fair footing, and everybody, for example, let's say for any of the sports, for example, let's say cricket, if I'm an NPO and I hire a former professional cricket player, why can't that person come in and coach? Let the residents, let the kids decide who they want to be coached by, and not the CST decide who's the best organization to coach. So I think everybody should have the same opportunity to coach, not just legacy, because that's great special interests, which I think I'm not in favor of.
Thank you, Angad. There are a couple of Zoom, so let's take some Zoom comments.
That's the order they've been waiting.
Okay.
Yeah, hi, Vishal, this is Imran. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I just, because there were so many comments on the coaching and shifting the court from 1 to 3, I guess. So I just wanted to clarify that total, I guess the recommendation made by the committee is now 58 hours of total coaching in a week. Is that correct?
Correct.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Hello?
That is
Hello?
correct.
Laura, can you hear us on Zoom?
Yeah, now I can
Yes.
hear you. Yeah. And is that spread over 7 days or is that spread over 5 days?
That's 7 days.
Okay, so 58 hours in 7 days. Okay. How will you decide in those 58 hours how many coaches can utilize that? Do you have a system or how would you control those 58 hours amongst all the coaches that will apply?
Right now, it's based off the allocation process.
Okay, well, I'm not aware of the allocation process, but I guess, so you have a system where you will have any coach applying, those 58 hours will not increase. It has to be allocated amongst all the coaches that are applying, that only those 58 hours will be utilized and not increase if there are more number of coaches.
Correct. In fact, my math was wrong. So it's 30 hours during the weekdays, Monday through Friday, 1 to 7. And it's 14 hours over the weekend, 8 to noon and 3 to 7. So that's a total of 44 hours of coaching time. And how that will be allocated will be based on that priority schedule we mentioned earlier. Group A, Group B, Group C, and Group D.
Okay, and only court 3 is allocated for coaching, no other
Correct.
court at present. Okay.
Right.
All right. That's it from me. I guess there's some other people who wants to comment, but thank you so much.
Hi guys, I'm Kalyan here.
Hey, Kalyan,
May I
can
go
you-
next?
Kalyan, can you wait 1 second? Vimal, are you there?
Yes, Vishal. So I have 2 points. So one is maybe I'm not sure I saw this. Do we have minimum time to book? Like sometimes like 2 hours needed to book a court. It's not like, like somebody's already in the court, somebody like, book and say I have the court, right? Do you have a policy to prevent that?
Can you repeat your question one more time?
Do you have a policy to say like there should be a minimum hour by which you need to book a court? Let's say the time is now 3 o'clock. You cannot book a court for 4 o'clock. Like you can book a court for 5 o'clock.
There's no minimum, but we do now have a maximum. So commission is recommending 5 1-hour time slots per week.
I mean to say like how soon can somebody book the court? Because let's say if somebody is like already waiting for the court, right? They saw the court is free, nobody's booked and they're waiting for the court. Somebody else shouldn't book the court.
You can start booking 14 days in advance up until I believe the hour before.
Hour before? Okay. So yeah, that was the question. Do we have a policy like hour before or 2 hours before? Okay. And the second one is, I know like we discussed a lot of policies, rules to make the court available for general public use, right? That's great. I know a lot of people go to Tracy and play tennis. We don't know when the new courts are also going to come, right? So one suggestion I have is, how can we make better, like 2 courts are available for general public use? Like we have 3, right? So what I see in the meeting is like one is going for the training, one is going for the league. So there is only 1 court available for the general public. That also can be used by most of non or unofficial coaches. That's what I see. So generally, then again, the general public won't be able to use the court. Can we restrict any kind of league or coaches to one court? This is just the interest of a public, like who is not playing leagues, who just want to play casual tennis, or a dad want to teach his kid.
Actually, this is a good question for the commission because right now we're considering leagues under commercial use and we're limiting commercial use to Monday through Friday, 1 to 7, Saturday, Sunday. Do you want to redefine league play as something else other than commercial use? That's up to the commission.
Okay, so let's take that one and we can discuss that
Okay,
and come back.
okay.
Vimal, you have any other questions or?
No, that's it. Yeah,
Thank
thanks. Thanks for the time.
Thank you. Kalyan? you still
Yeah,
there?
I have three things. I think about cancellation, one has already spoken. So concern about cancellation is like, sometimes if we see the rain forecast or weather forecast is not good, we feel like canceling it. It's not like we intentionally want to cancel all the time. So I believe that cancellation policy should be very flexible and should be liberal.
So the current cancellation policy does reference weather conditions.
Okay, so due to bad weather, we can always cancel. That's
Yeah,
what you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if the public cancels it because they know it's gonna rain this afternoon, they won't be penalized for that.
Okay, so we get an option to mention the reason as cancellation as rain.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my second point is about the leagues. So right now, the number of leagues that go is like every single day of the year. We have a league after league, and we don't have any break in between. And then we have to pay for the league as well. So that obviously limits the general public use. So I would ask for a cap on the number of league hours or whatever it is. Because we cannot have every single day a league going on there with a blocked court over there.
I believe our chair mentioned that we'll go ahead and discuss that, or we'll.
Yeah, that's the same as a question Vimal had posed or
Yeah,
recommended.
of course. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah, I was talking about the limit. And I think I missed the first 30 minutes of this meeting, so I'm not sure exactly how many hours an individual, a resident user can book, court in a given week of time. It's
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, you go ahead. It's like max 1 hour per week, or
The commission is proposing 5 1-hour time slots per week
per each user.
for each user, correct?
I think that's creating a problem, I believe, because so technically a player can play the whole week, right? Like Monday to Friday. See, we have 300 plus users trying to book the courts, and there is only one court, and prime hours are like very limited. And we have a cutoff time at morning 8 a.m. to book the court. And in that rush hour, in office rush hour, it's not possible for everybody to, come onto the system and book. And at any point of time, system can take only limited reservations subject to the availability. So we have to be really lucky to get a court on that sharp 8 o'clock on dot.
Mhm.
So the app can take only certain requests. So it's by luck we get a chance to book a court. Otherwise, we are done for the day. And few people are lucky, let's say, every single day. So they give up booking the court. So I would strictly recommend the total hours a user get to play in a week or month should be limited. If they want to play 10 hours, let them play in 1 week. But it should be open for the rest of the players for the rest of the weeks. So that way the other players get a chance to even book the court. Now the problem is we are unable to book the court.
So, all right, Kalyan, we got your comments and concerns, but you have 14 days, you can book court 14 days in advance. So you don't have-
So I got that. So right now, let me give a picture. If I open the court as an app, as of today, it's already booked for the 13 days. Now tomorrow, 8 o'clock, the 14th day opens. So I think the timer has to be reset now let's say everybody acting on to book 14 days in advance. Everybody gets the same 14 days of window open. But that is not going to happen. After this meeting, tomorrow onwards, if I see the court reserve app, they're already booked. So at any point of time, it is only single day booking that is going on in the current situation.
So Kalyan, thank you for your comments. So we'll have to discuss that again.
Yeah. Sure. So you got my concern, right? So right now the app only shows the 14th day open for booking right now. It's not 14 days open for booking right now. No, it's
Right.
only shows 14th day of the booking for now because all 13 days are booked as already.
Kalyan, so we don't have the app in front of us, so we cannot really see what you're talking about.
Yeah,
So
I mean to say the general trend is what going on right now. So it's basically booked until the day it's open, and I got the point. But we have to have a system in place to restrict the total number of hours of play for each player.
All right, thank you, Kalyan.
Thanks. Yep.
Deepak, you still there?
Yeah, Vishal, thank you for having me. Yeah, so I submitted my comment via email, which showing the screen on behalf of 40 other players. So thank you very much for staff and commission for considering all the points. So specifically, first point, 1 hour per week booking, which is not sufficient for many tennis players. Like I mentioned, they are, one family member, there are 3 players who want to play tennis, so which is not sufficient 1 hour per week. So 5 days per week, is totally good. And like I said in my email, I included 40 plus people who agree with me. So thanks for considering that. And yeah, other 2 points you already considered. One more point, like Angad and Vimal said, so 7 days cancellation policy, I can tell you uh, right now, if someone booked 24 hours, they have option to cancel it. Is a $3 and people do not care and they do not cancel it and courts are going wasted. Personally, sometimes if I want to play, I see all courts are booked and I know this person, he has booked it and if not canceled, I ping him and get the quote from him. So if you do not give flexibility of cancellation, then I'm telling you the quote will go waste and people will book it, they will not cancel, they will not care $3 per hour. And then, like Anga said, if you give flexibility, so other people can book it. Like Laura gave the data, if someone cancel the booking, it never go wasted. Everyone can, so some other person can take it. So there's other feedback. And one more comment I want to make it for the future course, if board can consider, commission can consider, Mountain House is always windy during spring and summer days. If you can put an arrangement of like trees like court 1, plan in some way so that, courts are playable during windy days. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Anupam? We have a public comment here.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Anupam Rajan. I'm certified coach. I am volunteering for high school team also. I'm coaching high school team and I'm also doing a lot of volunteering coaching here and also some paid coaching. I totally agree with some comments here. Put a cap on fees. And also want to talk about vision for this tennis coaching. I think we talked about tennis coaching a lot here. Our high school team is doing good at D4 level, but our level is going up. We are going to D2 level. And last year, I was coaching high school team also as volunteer assistant coach. Team lost in final SAC because we played D1 team and we were beaten badly 8-1. But until that particular match, we were winning throughout. But the way we are growing, Mountain House growing, our kids are growing, we are going to get D2, D1 level pretty soon. And we need much closer attention to our players, our kids. Most of tennis lessons which are happening with the organizations, existing organizations here are group lessons. There's a limit kids learn in group lessons. They need lot of personal attention, either private lessons or semi-private lessons. I agree on those comments, previous comments, that we need to put a cap on fees so that people are not charging anything on one-on-one or semi-private, but there should be a reservation and quota for type of lessons. If we are saying 60 hours or 58 hours, then there should be a quota, okay, 30 hours can go on group lessons so that young kids who needs group lessons, they can play, young kids like 11 years old, 12 years old kid, 10 years old, they can go on group lessons. But kids on high school, and if they are good kids, they need better attention. They need semi-private lesson. And right now we don't have that, that approach, that cap. So all lessons existing, most of, I would say 90% lessons are happening, group lessons where 10, 8, 9 kids are there. So kids on high school teams, I am volunteering a lot of my time to make sure that high school teams stay on track with Coach Andy also there. And I'm putting my time there and volunteering just to make sure that, we are generating good tennis players, which not only represent our high school team, but also represent overall community when they go play our tournaments. So that's one of my suggestion, to put a cap on private versus group lessons. And also, I applied for coaching hours, but because I think we have existing organizations, my coaching application was rejected. Those commercial hours was rejected. So I am doing volunteering, and I'm also I'm telling here that I am doing I'm taking some lessons, private lessons and some group lessons too. And with this approach, I will not be able to take those lessons. So there are definitely a lot of community members, their kids will get impacted. So I just want to make sure that we can apply for hours. New coaches can get introduced. We should have that policy. And also, if I'm volunteering, because I love volunteering, tennis is my passion. I don't really do coaching for living. I do coaching for my passion, and I want to have something where I am volunteering free. Then how can I reserve code, not considered as commercial?
So, yeah, I should start with saying that you have 3 minutes time to, for your comments.
I'm good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
So one thing for your volunteering, if it is for Lammersville Unified School District, they have priority of booking quotes. So you can work with school district and reserve quotes for that purpose. And then your point about equitable coaching time. So that is a good point also. So we did come up with how many total coaching hours are allowed, but I think we need to also consider making them distributed equitably between all the coaches.
Yeah, other point which I mentioned was group lessons versus one-on-one and semi-private lesson. For that, kids who are growing, who are getting better, they get more attention from coaches.
I do have a
I
point
have
of
a question for
clarification.
you.
Oh, good.
Anup.
So,
Thank
Raj,
you.
Commissioner Raj.
Uh,
Anupam, can you just wait 1 second?
Quick
Commissioner Raj
question
has
for
a
you.
question for you.
In terms of the cost, do you guys have an idea, or do you know what the cost is for, let's say, a tennis class at the community college? Is that a comfortable cost?
Community college, you say?
Like the Delta College offers, I'm sure, or the
Delta
Aloni College.
I don't think Delta College has tennis courts here.
Okay, I just remember when I took the tennis class, there was an Aloni College. They used to offer tennis in Fremont.
So if we
Is that
compare,
a comfortable price range?
if we compare Fremont, that's too high.
Okay.
If we compare Manteca and Lathrop, I don't know they're private or semi-private, how much they charge? Yeah, but here it's less than Fremont for sure. What I know, what I charge. I cannot really say everybody else because I don't really know. But from Manteca, if it is 45, then here I go 60 or I go 70 for new people. That's
So
and
that
I don't need to say it
your-
public,
yeah,
but that's it.
I think for the CST, for a government organization to base their price, it has to be based on some other public institution. I think we that would be helpful for us to know the base prices.
You can't speak, you have to be on the mic.
Yes.
Hold on.
Yeah, we should take our surrounding communities or cities like Lathrop, Manteca. I totally agree. We should put a cap on it. There should not be exorbitant charges.
So
Because we are
for
such-
let's take a Manteca example. Is there a the price is from the city of Manteca?
I don't think this is city of Manteca. I think
Okay.
this is a private coaching right there.
So Manteca, if you go, the 101 class costs about 45, and group classes usually about $7 to $10 per person, because, and again, it has to be, there has to be a coach kids ratio. So usually in tennis, it's usually one coach per 6 to 8 kids. If it's more than that, it's overcrowded.
Yeah, I mean, if we go in that direction, there are definitely, it's not a rule, but if we go really young kids, they can't really, their attention span is really small. So they can't handle one-on-one. So that's why one-on-one is good for kids who already, they know some skills and they are getting better. But for young kids, we need more group lessons. And I totally agree on that side. 6 to 8 is a good number. If you go beyond that, that means after paying $20 or something, they're only getting 6 minutes of coach time.
Do you mind if I interject? This is Laura,
Yes,
the
please.
recreation manager. I'm not sure that we can dictate to a private renter of a court how much they can charge their participants. We can certainly, if the CSD were to have a lesson program and to sponsor a lesson program, we would definitely base our pricing based on community feedback, cost recovery, and so forth. But I don't believe that we can dictate what a user can charge their participants on our courts. We can dictate how many participants need to be Mountain House residents. And right now we're requiring them to be at least 75%, but I don't believe we can dictate how much they can charge.
Wait, before he goes, before he goes, I have a question for you. I want a clarification. You said that you are not able to coach because your application was denied?
Yes, because I was told that we already have existing coaches and court hours are already reserved for those coaches. So we can't give you any more, any court hour.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Laura, this is Neetu. So I totally agree that we cannot dictate what they are charging, but if they want to, if they want to use public courts, which is Mountain House public courts, then can't we come up with a policy? Because they can use external public courts anywhere and charge whatever they want to charge. But the whole policy is about if you want to use public court for $6 an hour, then you should not be able to charge. This is the community facility you're using. So can't we put in force a rule on that? If they want to book our facility, they cannot charge more than this.
I'll seek the attorney's advice on this particular
Mhm.
topic. As far as I understand, we can't dictate a private user what they charge, but seeing that this is an excellent question. And so I will present to the attorney and see what they say.
Yeah, I also looked into the legality of it, and that's what I was referring, that if they want to do somewhere else, of course, we cannot dictate what they charge. But if they want to use our public facility, I think there is a clause there. So I will appreciate if you can look into that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And
I
just
have
wanna
I have a question for you. In Manteca, do they use public parks or?
Absolutely, yes. They're using public facility, and that's why it's mandated.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'd just like to remind
Thank you.
everyone that
Thank you, everybody.
public speakers have 3 minutes to speak.
Yes.
Just make sure
Just-
you have your comments
Yeah.
prepared.
Good evening. This is Surya. You guys are doing wonderful job, but wherever there is a system, there is a loopholes in the system, right? So right now, if I hire a private coach for my son 1 hour class, nowhere in the United States anybody will charge more than $100 per hour. Okay, because CSD has approved 2 to 3 coaches, and they are doing only group classes. Okay, they are not encouraging to kids to hire as a private classes. Okay, so because of that, general public is facing some problems. Okay, so we have 3 courts. We don't have infrastructure. And why are we allowing commercial coaches in Mountain House? If you have 10 courts, I agree, you dedicate 2 to 3 courts to the coaches and they can take the lessons. But here we have 3 courts, 300 tennis members are there in this community. Okay. And I know Mountain House is in deficit, 310 million deficit is there. How much revenue are you targeting here by allocating the commercial coaches or to hire the tennis courts? Why don't you give it for people? Only 3 courts are there. This is my request. I know you guys are doing wonderful job, but there is a limitation.
Great comment, Surya. That makes total sense that, the courts are monopolized by a lot of coaching. So that's why I think you missed the first part where we decided to limit the hours to, I think the calculation comes to about 48 hours per week for all the coaching.
I know
yeah.
there is a limitation, but thing is, I can tell you a number of loopholes in this system, okay? So the coach will reserve the court from 4 to 5, whatever time slot you have it. After that, he will ask his wife to reserve the court and he will teach to his own kids. Okay, then where I am getting my court? So that is what I'm saying. Nowhere in the California or anywhere, this is a democratic state, okay? Work for the people, don't work for the organizations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
One last question. Can I? Or is time up?
You need to support.
Okay.
You've used 3 minutes, more than 3 minutes, so I think we should give anyone else chance to speak.
So Vishal, it's not a question, but I just want to know for all of these public comments or questions, I'm not sure if they have been taken a note of, or when can we expect any kind of discussion or conclusion on those questions or points?
So since it's addressed to me, I'll try to answer. Laura, please help me if I make a mistake here. But so Kalyan, we've discussed the policy for almost 3 hours. So I think we made a good progress, and what the comments that you've made, we'll try to discuss them again and come to some conclusion. So I cannot guarantee that what you're requesting will be implemented, because they were counter recommendation to your recommendation, where people said 5 hours is appropriate. So again, we have all the notes, and we'll have another discussion on this policy, and then hopefully by next meeting we'll have a policy that we will approve it here and take it to CSD as a recommendation for their approval. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I also made a point about the number of leagues and so on. So not just my couple of points, everybody, whoever has spoken, I think they all have their own points. So I just wanted to know in general, like how these things are now discussed over and over again. I mean, in the next meeting, I'm not sure, or
The
how do we
commissioner,
get to
a
hear from them?
commissioner may make a motion to either table this item to the next meeting, incorporating all of the comments and suggestions. The commission may also amend the current policy to take into consideration these comments. However, there are quite a few. So as staff, I would recommend that you table this item till the next commission meeting and discuss it further, and we'll incorporate all of these comments.
Yeah, thank you. Makes sense. Thank you.
I have a comment.
Yes, Commissioner Raj.
Going back to the cost question, Laura, we may not be able to dictate a price for an organization, but we might be able to incentivize the organization with something else. So when you speak with the council, please have that in mind. That's my request.
What incentive are you suggesting?
I think there is a lot of mentions here. Folks have raised concerns about legacy organizations, that amount of time they may have on the courts. I think there's a
So
few
that's up to
items
the
here.
commission to decide if they want to change that group
Yeah.
allocation.
We
process.
would want to be clear about whether or not it's in our authority to offer such an incentive.
That's up to
Um,
the commission to determine.
Hi, can I just say one thing real quick? Hello?
Yes,
Is
you
that-
have 3 minutes.
Yeah, so yes, I think cost is a big factor, and although we can help create more regulations and laws prohibiting how many hours we can book a court and whatnot, a very simple solution would be if we were to look into the principles of economics. If you have more demand and your supply is still the same, naturally the price of your supply starts to go up. So maybe if we start charging more than $3, I know this is not what we want. This is very will start getting very expensive for a lot of us. But a very natural procedure would be to just start increasing prices and for the 3 tennis courts, and maybe that'll help create a little bit less demand. Like Eliana was also saying, at 8 a.m. a lot of people do not find the court because a lot of people are demanding a certain time frame, and a lot of people are demanding to book a court. If we naturally raise prices, then the demand should go lower.
I don't know
Some
if
people-
you were here for the whole presentation, but at a future commission meeting, the commission will be reviewing pricing guidelines and a pricing policy. Staff are currently doing a fee assessment of all of our fees, including the tennis courts. So the staff will be recommending fees, fee changes, discounts, primetime hours being different than non-primetime hours, commercial coaches as opposed to residents. So all those fees will be brought back to the commission.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I wasn't able to join at that time.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Hey, Laura, I have a question. Like in the public, they are saying right now we only have 2 coaches, right? So how can we add more coaches? Is there any way like we
There
can
is a way
add more?
if we limit the amount of hours that coaches get on the courts, and we have an allocation process that equitably offers all the coaches the same opportunity to rent courts. So currently, right now, we've got 2 sets of coaches that monopolize a lot of the court time. So unfortunately, there's no more time available for any new coaches. But you as the commission have an opportunity to allow new coaches to come in, to limit the play of current existing programs, to allow more coaches, to update the allocation process, to recategorize how you allocate the fields or the courts. So that's up to the commission. So right now we've reduced their time to certain hours of the day, 20 hours per week. So it's up to you to determine if that's too much or too little time.
Also, Laura, one comment. In addition, so limiting the hours is one way. The other option could be that other coaches should be allowed to apply as
Mhm.
coaches. So
Yeah,
we don't have monopoly of 2 or 3 coaches only.
right. So if I get if I get 5 applications from coaches at the same time, you as a commission have to tell me, how do you want me to equitably disperse all the court hours to these 5 groups? Do you want to prioritize existing groups over new groups? Do you want to prioritize group lessons as opposed to private lessons? Do you want to prioritize nonprofits as opposed to commercial users?
In
I think-
theory, in theory, if you open up for more coaches, the price should drop, right? So it should be
I think
I mean, anyway, that's the,
Ms. Green has a comment. Let's
Thank
hear
you, yeah.
yeah, we need, if we create.
I would suggest that we table this for now. We've gotten a lot of information and a lot of comments that we really should revisit. And I don't think we'll be able to solve any of these things right now. So I would suggest we table it and come back to some of these suggestions.
If you want to do that, Commissioner Green, you'll need to make a motion.
That's my motion to table this.
I second.
Commissioner Raj?
No more comments. I'm good. Thank you.
All right, so Commissioner Green motioned and Commissioner Maninder Singh second. So
Can you please state the motion?
motion to table or postpone the final approval of tennis court rental policies and the recommendation to the board for adoption.
To when? When would you like to table? To the next meeting, or do you want to call a special meeting?
We can do it for our postpone it to next meeting.
Okay.
Do you have to vote on this?
Who is your second?
Commissioner Maninder Singh.
And now you need to take a vote.
Commissioner Green,
Aye.
Commissioner Maninder Singh,
Aye.
Commissioner Raj Singh,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Faistu.
Aye.
Aye. So the motion passes with unanimous vote to postpone the adoption of the approval of final draft of tennis court rental policies and recommendation to board till our next meeting. All right. Okay, so moving to next discussion item 6A, review and discuss the draft version of picnic rental policy. Laura, back to you.
Back to me. All right. Great feedback, by the way. It was great discussion. Just for clarification, I will take all of the comments and suggestions in writing and from the public and from commissioners, and I'll condense that into this presentation at the next meeting. All right.
Thank you.
So the next one is we want to review and discuss the draft version of the picnic rental policy. The board adopted the current policy back in September of 2021. Staff presented the board with an updated parks policy at their meeting in September of 2022. The proposed policies included parks, picnics, special events, and sports fields. And it was decided at that meeting that the use policies would be established with the new Parks and Rec Commission. So they tabled it until it was brought back to you. The current policy includes special events and sports fields, which we've now separated out. So this new policy is just specifically for picnic rentals. So right now we currently have about 50, there might be a little bit more, picnic tables located at various parks throughout Mountain House. All of the tables are currently available for rent through our reservation system. Several parks have clustered picnic tables like at Wickland, and several parks have random tables around the park like at Bethany. Several parks have clusters of tables located under shelters like at Cortez and offer additional amenities like bathrooms and an adjacent green space. Right now, we figure that each table can accommodate at least 6 adults. So just for information, there were 80 picnic rentals in 2023. 62 of them were specific picnic areas. So only very few were the random single tables throughout the parks. The average rental was about 3.5 hours long. Half of the rentals were more than 4 hours, like 4 to 6 hours were more than half. Only 2 of the rentals started before 10, but a majority of them, 50% of them ended at or after 6 p.m. So a lot of the rentals happened in the middle of the day. 6 rentals were for organizations, but majority of the rentals were for just private citizens. And in only one instance were picnic areas rented back to back, and that was at Central Park. So for example, on a Sunday, April 1st, there was a group that rented it from 8 to 12, and then another group rented it from 1 to 5. But rarely ever do groups book the picnic areas back to back. So the staff suggestion is to update the policy to include Cortez, which is not currently in the policy. And then we have a new park that's coming on. It's at the corner of Dairy Drive and Joy Avenue. We'd like to suggest that all of the one table picnic areas just be a first come, first served basis. We want to identify areas that are clustered, covered, and have bathrooms as rentable spaces. We want to go from an hourly rental to an all-day rental. So all day is basically from 8 a.m. until 1 hour prior to sunset. We want to provide additional green space for rentals at selected parts, and those are primarily for jump houses. We get a lot of jump house questions. We want to provide restrictions on amplified sound, and we want to update the fees. So instead of just having an hourly fee, we want to just charge a 1 day, all day usage fee, and the deposit will equal the all day rental fees. And I'll show you a table with that information. These are the current policies, and they're redlined. It's redlined quite a bit just because we did make some changes. Again, we changed the hourly rate to daily. We took out all of the single table picnic rentals. We removed the fields from here because they're now included in our new athletic field policy. We did change the hours of the rentals to coincide with the Muni code that we currently have. We took out any comments about special events for the 150 people or more because majority of the picnic grounds have a capacity. And typically special events don't book just picnic grounds. We simplified the booking priority so that you have 6 months in advance. You can book a table at least 2 weeks before. The current policies just are a little confusing and a little too much information. Again, for refunds, we made it easier too. We just have within the 2 weeks before the rental, you get a full refund less your deposit. A few days before the rental, if you cancel, we keep all the fees and your deposit. But again, just like we rarely ever get cancellations for picnic grounds. So again, we just took out some of the unneeded policies that we have in here that either apply to other policies, or again, like this one, it just reflects the Muni code. And then just to go through the draft policies really quickly. So we provided you with a comprehensive draft. New and updated topics include, again, the new definitions, the nonprofit verification, some of the restrictions. We have change in cancellation days. We removed the special event permits. We changed the fees. So I'm going to go through this page by page. Again, if you have comments along the way, just we'll just stop and go along. This is a much simpler policy than any of the other policies that we have. Again, we updated the definitions. We have we've defined the booking area, hours of use. Again, we have the nonprofit organization form, but this will really only apply to discounts. There's not a whole lot of priority, like people don't all book the same rental picnic area at the same time. We're trying to go to a completely online rental process, so we have outlined the step-by-steps. Here is a matrix that lists all of the available parks and all of their amenities. And again, we're really just highlighting those parks that are clustered tables that are all together. Most of them are covered and most of them have a bathroom associated with it. And the change, one of the biggest changes that we're making is that you get to rent it all day, because a lot of the rentals, again, are only 3.5 to 4 hours, but we're assuming that the renters are coming before their time and they're probably staying after their time. I've surveyed a lot of local cities and the majority do it all day rental. So it is a best practice. Any questions about that so far?
Laura, one question.
Mhm.
The fees changed, you're saying the fees it shows here is all day? Is it
Right.
before it used to be all day also or hourly?
It was hourly before.
But a lot of people might not book whole day, so there won't be any more option for them to book.
No, it wouldn't be prorated. It would be all day. The hourly rate right now is fairly high compared to other cities, but the all day fee is fairly low. So when I show you the fees, you'll see, again, the average rental is 3 to 4 hours long. The new daily fee is actually cheaper than the current fee.
Do you have the earlier, okay, so the $45, for example, Central Park Fountain Picnic Area? That's used to be 45 per hour?
Yes, so I have that on page 11, but let me get through
Sure.
page 9, 10. Okay,
So
so
Laura, I just have one question. Sorry for interruption here.
Uh-huh.
But how do you differentiate between first come first and rentable because they kind of all look the same?
all of the random picnic tables that are around the parks, like the one table here and the one table there, those are just going to be considered first come, first serve. These picnic areas we've identified here are all together. There are 2 tables together, there are 3 tables together. They're all under a covered space and they have bathrooms with them.
And one other thing I want to know is how do we make sure that residents understand that they have to reserve these tables and
They-
not be disappointed they show up and hey, somebody they don't have rent, they don't have it
There
reserved.
should already be park ordinances signs out there at all of the parks that state this.
Okay.
I know that at least the new parks that they do. I like to use Cortez as an example. It's a nice covered space. It's got, I think it has 3 tables, a barbecue, and then there's a bathroom there. That's a great example of a space. Now, keep in mind, the public doesn't have to necessarily reserve a picnic area. They can show up at Cortez, and if no one's there, they can be there. However, if they want to guarantee the space, they would have to rent it.
Yes, okay, sounds good. Makes sense. Yeah.
Again, the regulations I just pulled from the existing regulations, they're pretty standard. We did add about amplification. It has become a topic as of late. Right now, decibels outside it says 70, and that's pretty standard. That's like maybe a little lower than a lawnmower. The code enforcement is also looking into this particular policy. So this may change, but because a lot of the picnic grounds are in neighborhood parks, we wanted to make sure that the renter knows that they should be limited on their amplification. Other than that, the regulations are the same.
Question, Laura.
Yes.
The amplified music, we also, I saw in there, it was 8 p.m. However, even with our musics in the parks, it don't end till 9. And then I believe just by law, it's 10 o'clock. So are we adjusting that, or we're gonna go with the 8 o'clock?
Well, the picnic rentals have to occur before sunset. And in the summer, we figured 8 p.m. would be the very latest because sunset's typically around 8:30, 9 o'clock. Whereas as a special event in the park, which goes past sunset, we have lighting. And then again, like I said, the code enforcement is trying to determine if there's a new amplification Unicode that they have to develop. So Central Park, because it's not really located next to any communities or any living space, may be a little bit different than, for example, Cortez or Woodland, which is directly across the street from a lot of housing. And again, this is just for picnic, maybe a capacity of 35, 40 people. Whereas a special event has a capacity of, may have 1,000 people show up.
So should we put that language in there?
About,
Special events
no, because special events,
or Central Park?
so that's a whole different policy. This policy is just specifically for picnic tables.
Got it.
So this has just been called out because it's not like a band is going to show up at your picnic, but you may have a small band come perform, or you may have live music, and you want to put some speakers out. We just want to make sure that the renter knows that you can't be amplifying it too loud because you're directly across the street from residents.
Got it.
Again, any questions?
Yeah, sorry. On the same tone, similar question from Rona. The number of hours. So for picnic table rental, Laura, what are the hours from when to when they can book?
8 a.m. until 1 hour before
sunset. Okay.
Yes.
And second, just quick clarification. The base rate, you were saying those hourly rate, right? Oh, no, sorry, the whole day rate.
Correct.
So if someone books for 3 hours,
They're
they
not going to
still-
book it for 3 hours. They're just going to book it for the day.
Okay,
we're not
even
gonna
though they
ask-
need for 3 hours, they still book for the whole day.
They can book for the whole day. They can have it for 1 hour. They can have it for the whole 6 hours.
But the
it's
rate will
really-
remain same.
The rate will remain the same, correct. And again, this is based on what majority of other cities, with the exception of Tracy, but I did a survey of other cities and they also have an all-day rate. Because our renters are usually there for 4 hours a day, and then assuming they probably come a little bit earlier and they probably stay a little bit later.
No, that's okay to have it all day, but I'm saying is, don't you think there should also be like a partial day reservation for 4 hours and a different rate?
Again, it's just a best practice that the renters just get it all day.
Okay.
And looking back at the year, we didn't have double bookings. So it's not an issue. Had we had a history of a lot of people booking like Central Park, for example, back to back, we may not suggest an all-day rental. But only 2 of the 80 were back-to-back rentals.
Okay.
Again, the prohibited items were all pulled from the existing regulations. Nothing was new. And then again, just to go over the fees. So what I did is we took the hourly rate and we just, I think we increased it. I think we increased it to reflect a 3-hour rental because the average rental was 3 hours or more. But again, this fee is for it all day.
So Laura, the city of Tracy doesn't allow hourly rate?
City of
They have.
Tracy is the only one I surveyed that does actually have an hourly rate.
Yeah,
The majority of the other cities I surveyed do not.
Yeah, city of Tracy has hourly rate I saw on their website.
Yes, that's what I just, yeah.
I'm just throwing this that maybe just for discussion to have this optional available because it might be expensive for a lot of people to book for 2 hours, $90.
Well, the majority of rentals are 3 or more hours. And this fee is the same as 3 hours.
So,
Okay.
so what Laura is saying is that she took the hourly rate,
Right.
okay, and then she just
Right.
multiplied by 3 hours, and that's the rate for, is it 3 or 4 hours? Is the rate, that's the rate for the all day. So it's
All
a pretty good deal. Because like, minimum you book for 4 hours, so you're getting it all day for price of 3 hours.
No, I understand that. I was just throwing this that
Again, these fees will be included in our fee assessment. These fees may either be too high or too low. but these new fees that we're suggesting temporarily reflect the all day. If the
Okay.
commission decides that they don't want to charge all day, then we'll just revert back to our current hourly rate.
And that will be when you present the master fee schedule?
When we present the master fee schedule, we may
Okay.
suggest changing all of the fees.
Okay, got it.
But if the commission today decides that they like all of the policies with the exception of the daily usage, we will revert back to the current prices, the current hourly prices.
Okay, got it.
And then again, the discounts are all based on whatever organization you are, if you want a discount. The base rate, however, is the resident rate. We only had two nonprofit groups rent facilities this past year. All of the rest, the 78 other ones, were all just residents.
And that's why I brought it, because majority of will be residents.
Mhm.
Flexibility required to have some hourly option. Otherwise, we are just this way or that way. I think we need to think about options, other options too. Just wanted to bring that.
The cancellation rates have just been updated and simplified. Most of picnic rentals happen within a couple weeks of the date. People don't usually rent it so far out in advance, although we would love to have it if they did. But again, if they cancel within the 2 weeks prior, they'll receive a full credit less their deposit. And then 3 days before, they get nothing back, because at that point, we've already notified Public Works, we've notified our staff. We've gone through the whole rental process. And then we've just got the standard rules of conduct that we have in all of our current policies now. Are there any questions?
Laura, one question. Have we received any survey before about any fees or anything earlier in the last 5-6 months?
No, we don't survey the community on the
fees.
fee. What we need to do for a fee assessment, though, is we need to determine the costs associated with renting, for example, renting the picnic table. And then we need to determine, based on our new pricing guidelines, how much of a cost recovery we want that to be. So if we determine as a commission that the picnic areas have to be 100% cost recovery, then what I'll do is I'll gather information from our Public Works crew, and I'll gather information from the Parks and Rec crew, and I'll present to you, the commission, and say, it costs X number of dollars to maintain one picnic rental. And that's what we would charge the public.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. So again, do these policies make sense? Are they easy to understand? They serve the diverse user of groups in Mountain House and provide exceptional parks. So staff recommends that the commission discuss this picnic policy. The chair will ask if anybody has any more clarifying questions. We'll open it up to comments. And then if you want to make any comments or suggestions, I can incorporate them into the draft for next month's meeting, where you can approve it. I'll leave it up to you.
Any clarification questions from Laura?
I think we should consider maybe a 2-tier at least, maybe if not hourly, maybe half-day type scenario.
Agree. 4 hours, full day, something like.
Right, and the other
Otherwise,
comment
it's
I
like
have, yes, is related to cost recovery. I like that idea. I think maybe that should be slated for non-residents. Those are the 2 comments I have. Thank you.
I have a question. So how much hourly rate we had before?
Let me go back to our red line version. Sorry, I've got to keep going backwards. So using Central Park as an example, it was $90. Staff is recommending 120. So it's actually a little bit cheaper.
Okay, if it's cheaper the way it is, then why do hourly, right? Let's just go with a full day. So the money is the problem, right? But if they are getting whole
Yeah,
day
so
for the same money, then what's the point having hourly? And if we're gonna have hourly, it's gonna bring more conflict between the first rental and the next one. Suppose if has somebody booked it from 10 to 2, right? And others
Mhm.
will show up there at 2:30. If they are not done, it's gonna bring the conflict between
No.
both.
No, that is
Rental,
a very
right?
good point. Commissioner Maninder, I was bringing that, okay, if it is a 4-hour mean, then you have a rate which would, based on the cost recovery. So how much should be, is your 1-hour cost, for example? Based on that, then you calculate how much we should charge 4 hours so that it compensates any delay also on that. So what Laura brought few minutes ago, the point that what is your cost recovery should be 1 hour.
Mhm.
If we know that, then we can determine the 4 hours and then calculate the rate for 4 hours special rate. Otherwise, full, and also we should look at the whole day rate also based on the cost recovery. That's all I wanted to bring, that maybe we give that option 4 hours, which will factor a special rate, cost recovery plus a little bit more. So we don't lose money.
I actually agree with Commissioner Singh on that because if consider I want it for 6 hours and you've already booked it for 4. That would eliminate me from having my 6-hour event. But if no one books it for that day, it's first come, first serve. So I wouldn't be able to book because I need maybe an extra hour over from the rental the previous renters have. So I think that we would get into more conflict by hour than by all day. So if someone only needs it for 4 hours and no one has rented it, they can get it.
My question is how many hours people use for birthday? They don't use whole day, right? So
No,
when people,
everybody's it depend on everybody. Somebody would use for 3 hours, somebody use for 6 hours.
so
But
how they're paying right now by hour?
no, they're gonna pay the whole day. So I
So
don't think so. We should go there. If anybody can pay $50, like suppose if you want to rent it for 4 hours, right? It's like $90. Right now, the whole day is $100. What's the $10 gonna do?
no, that's okay. We should know the cost recovery and then look at that, whether this whole day rate is too less or too more or too much. That will help.
Look at it like this. If you are giving your son a birthday party on Saturday, what time would you start that party?
Usually people do around like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock.
Right. So that would mean whoever rented it before you buy hourly, they would have an event from what, 8 to 2? So who has an event from 8 to 2? You know what I mean?
So you can have an event from 10 to 1 and you have 1 hour to clean and 2 o'clock there.
So what if you're the one who wants to give their son a party and someone has rented it from 3 to 8 and they tell you you can only have it from 10 to 1?
That's okay. That's just availability. Just like you book any event, Rona, you get based on what's available. That's feasible. That's simple. Like,
I would prefer you to have a birthday party the whole day for your son.
no, I understand. So let's say even if someone else book another my friend books for a high school student, book for the same day, 3 to 8, I still won't get it, right?
I
I'm just
mean, I
throwing that idea.
understand. I just think we
That's a
should,
first come, first serve anyway.
You know,
yeah, I think
let
we
me
should just,
jump in here. It's one devil's advocate a little bit here. You know, I agree with Mr. Singh on in terms of most parties take place in the afternoon. You know, right. But there's few exceptions here. The gazebo, for instance, in Wickland. People use that in the morning for meditation, for dance class, for different things. The folks who want to have a party, they don't show up until noon. So if somebody reserved it, that dance class wouldn't happen. So maybe if there's some exceptions made here, that would be a happy medium.
I think we can decide based on the park, maybe. That's another good point, Raj, Commissioner Raj, that certain parks, whole day,
I
certain
think we
parks,
only
half
have a
day.
gazebo in Wickland, right? Just in Wickland,
There is one in Cuesta as well, covered
covered.
area, and then I think there's one other one.
Okay.
Is
Well,
that part of the
Wickland
rental
is-
though?
Wickland gazebo is different from all of the other ones. The covered picnic areas don't have space enough for somebody to offer a class or anything like that.
I think that's different.
Yeah.
Raj, I think the gazebo, I don't think that's part of the picnic area barbecue rental.
Right, the gazebo itself is empty inside, yeah.
I saw a City of Tracy book, for example, Rona, Commissioner Rona, the number of hours. So birthday parties are like 3 hours. So somebody can book 10 to 1. You can still rent from 3 to 7 and keep 1 hour for that. I'm just saying is that gives them the flexibility and we still won't lose money. We will lose money if no one books 3 to 6. You're right. But that's option is that still can happen.
But we really haven't lost money if someone books for the whole day. And then if they book for the whole day and have a party from 12 to 4, other people still will be able to have access. I mean, I'm just saying, but I know for me, if I'm doing a party, I like to go out early, set everything up, have it ready. So when my guests get there at 12, so.
I think
That is the assumption and that is a best practice. Like I said, most cities, with the exception of Tracy, have an all-day policy because of that. People come out early, they get it all decorated and then they clean up. Our average renter is 4 hours, 3.5 to 4 hours. With the existing policy, using Central Park as an example, if they were there for 4 hours, that's $360. But now we're offering them Central Park all day for only $120.
Have you seen, Laura, any issue in terms of people not getting the reservation?
Nope.
Okay.
Everyone's gotten a reservation and there's only been one back-to-back.
Okay. It's not going to be an issue like tennis.
No. No.
All right. No, Central Park is like a popular spot, especially in summer.
It's probably the most reserved place,
Yeah.
but again, it's not overly booked. And it's primarily during the summer months, May to August. A lot of cities have a rental period too. They only have it like between May and September, but I mean, I'm suggesting we just keep it open year round.
Are there any public comments?
No, there's no more public.
Or
Is there anything else you wanted me to clarify or go over?
it was pretty easy to follow along, so I think it seems like sticking with whole day makes sense.
Okay.
So thank you, Laura, and for the presentation. And I'm not sure if there are any commissioner inputs on this. So I think you can incorporate the draft and bring back for final draft to our next meeting.
Okay, I'll
Thank
do
you.
that. Mhm.
All right,
I know we're-
item 6B, create work plan and goals. Laura, please hear your presentation.
So we're coming up upon 3 hours, so you can either table this or we can go through it quickly.
We can table it. Anybody would like to make a motion to table 6.8, create work plan and goals?
I make a motion to table item 6B for next meeting.
Do we have anybody seconds the motion?
I second.
Commissioner Raj Singh and Commissioner Raj Singh motioned to table, create work plan and goals, and Commissioner Faiz seconded. We can take a vote now. Ms. Green,
Aye.
Commissioner Singh,
Aye.
Commissioner Singh,
Aye.
Vice Chairman.
Aye.
Aye. So the motion passes unanimously to table, create work plan and goals for the next meeting.
Okay. Then I'll just briefly go over our future agenda items. So I'll bring back the goals and objectives again. I've been given direction to bring a concessions agreement forward to you, but I'll probably bring that back in April or May. We're going along pretty well with our rental policies. Next month, I will be presenting the special event policies, and we'll bring a final policy for the tennis court. Again, I'd like to bring back that pricing policy and guideline to you, as well as the sponsorship policy. And then we'll discuss recreation classes in the future. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any input from commissioners on Laura's report?
Any other items that you want to address on the future agenda?
What about the Laura, the survey? You talk about that public
Yes.
survey.
Yeah, I can either bring that back as a staff item or an actual agenda item if you want to discuss it. But we do have on our future agenda items to discuss programming, and that will include any kind of survey results. So.
Okay.
Any comments by commissioners on non-agenda items? Any updates?
I'd like to make a comment. Sorry, I know it's late. So I just want to bring attention with baseball coming up on the Little League board. And just wanted to emphasize that Altamont Park is in dire need of just maintenance. There's a lot of issues there right now. So I know, Laura, I've brought this to your attention. We can talk offline about it, but our first game is going to be on Saturday, March 2nd, and the field's nowhere near ready to be playable. And I just worry that like behind second base, there is a massive hole in the dirt. And I'm worried that a kid is going to step in there and break his leg or her leg. There's a gopher attack behind third base in the dirt, in the outfield grass. The other fields look in pretty good condition, but Altamont Park, extremely worried about that one right now. So
Have you guys met with our public works crew to go over all of your needs?
I can ask the board, but yeah, I mean, on the board, we're willing to do whatever's needed to help. But Altamont Park I just want to bring attention to it. It's in dire need right now. So
it could be because of the recent weather, they haven't been able to go out onto the park.
The other three parks are not as bad though. Like I want to emphasize Altamont is in dire need.
Okay,
Like, it's really bad.
Okay, I'll mention it to our Doug and the parks crew. And then perhaps the Little League could meet with our crew just to go over some checklist items before everything's ready to go.
Yeah, like I said, we have 4 fields. The other 3 are not that bad.
Okay.
But Altamont literally has like a gopher attack behind third base. The outfield grass looks terrible. And like I said, there's a huge hole behind second base in the dirt.
Oh gosh,
So,
okay.
yeah, so
All right.
I'll go back to our president and vice president, see if they've talked to Doug. But I have seen on other fields like they've mowed the grass a little bit, so I appreciate that.
Okay.
But yeah. And if public's listening when the fields are wet, please do not use them. Thank you.
Yeah. And pick up
Laura,
after your dog.
I think Hanson 1 and Hanson 2, they are also in a pretty bad shape. There's a lot of holes on the field.
Hanson's outfield is a little thin, the dirt, or I mean the grass. So yeah, would agree with that, Meninder. But it's not as bad as Altamont.
What do you think it's gonna take to get it up to par?
A lot of work. We need the dirt to be replaced where that hole is, and then we need to probably resod the outfield grass where the gophers seem to have attacked it. And then also on Altamont, I haven't brought up, but there's weeds in the infield that have been a problem. So yeah, it just needs a lot of work. And on the Little League, I can share that we're willing to help on that endeavor. But yeah, it just needs to. We got a game there scheduled. Our first game's going to be in 10 days. It's not ready. So.
All right.
Might be late now, 10 days. Not gonna get.
Yeah, I'm sounding the alarm a little bit. Sorry, but I want baseball to get prioritized around here like we are with tennis. So.
Maybe you can make a list and compare it with the grounds people, so get that done quick, and maybe even if there has to be some volunteers to help, we probably can get that taken care of.
Yeah, with my previous organizations I've been with, I know with user groups like the Little League, we would meet with them weeks before and go over a checklist item, and then the Public Works crew would know.
I
what
believe
they need
Eric has talked with them, Laura. I'll double check with
Okay.
him. Eric's the president. So I don't know if they just prioritize the other fields, but like we really need Altamont to get prioritized.
Sure. Okay.
So,
Okay. Well, in addition to Little League talking with Doug, I'll also share with Doug after this meeting. I'll shoot him an email and let him know the issues, and as well as Hanson too.
yeah, I don't think Hanson's as dire. Altamont, like I can send you pictures, Laura. It's really bad.
Okay.
I can't stress it enough. And we got a game there in 10 days. It's yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we appreciate it. Thanks.
Any comments, Ms. Green?
None.
One
Any-
comment here. Chair.
Commissioner Raj Singh.
The event for seniors, Laura, that you guys put out was good. Thank you. I hope we can do this more. I know some seniors wanted to go, couldn't make it that day.
Yeah.
But it was good. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Any comments, commissioners? Any comments, Commissioner Fleister? All right. Staff, do you have any additional items?
I do. Yep. So
Okay.
thank you, Commissioner Singh, for mentioning the coffee chat. We hosted the coffee chat yesterday at the firehouse. Approximately 30 seniors showed up. The attendees were asked about programming and wants and needs. Program surveys will be posted for seniors on our website. We'll send them specifically to seniors in our current database, and we'll send it out via social media to local groups and the vintage seniors for those that weren't able to attend yesterday's coffee chat. So that data will be collected. It will be combined with all the information we collected yesterday, and we'll share it with the public, and we'll also share it with the commission at next month's meeting. So we'll gather all that data together. Staff are working on creating a process for reserving the fields completely online, where the customers can check what's available, when and where. They'll be able to submit their application, include their deposit, application fees. It'll all be through our current Recreation One system. Right now, we currently have you could submit a paper application. You could submit an application for online, and then everything has to be transformed into our Rec One program. But we're looking to do it all in one complete program that will ease the reservation process for the customers as well as for staff. And then with the rise of special events in Mountain House Park, staff are working with various safety divisions, such as the sheriff, CHP, fire, to create a process for reserving parks for large-scale events that are either private or open to the public. So these processes are kind of put on the quick, we've kind of been tasked to do it quickly. So I'm going to be presenting it to you at next month's meeting. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Did that cover parks and facilities report also, Laura? Would you like to take
Actually,
it?
it's a little bit separate, but in an effort to
Okay.
mitigate excessive wear and tear on our fields and to prevent future player injury, the parks maintenance team will assess fields after significant weather to determine if they're playable. And if they're not, they're posting signs now on the fields and we're putting a notice on our website. So it's currently the responsibility of the user group to confirm if a field is open or not. So staff have notified all of our user groups. We're hoping they abide by those rules. There may be an occasional group that doesn't check the website or a group that we don't know about that may be on the field. So again, it's all about how we're going to enforce it. But we're working to try and figure that out, either with our contracted maintenance crew, city staff, Parks and Rec staff, somehow. But anyway, that concludes that report.
Do we have reserved signs?
We
for-
do not.
You know, it might be a good idea, the things that we use for campaigning, if we maybe get some of those made that said reserved for whatever the organization is, and we can just stick it in the ground on the field.
Right now, we don't have the staff that can go and do that.
Maybe the person like Scott, he can put it out the night before so that he wouldn't have to worry about someone being on the fields when they go that morning. So if we leave it up to the different organizations to put the reserve signs out there, that could be something that would help.
We've talked about that at the Little League. It would be something we would bear to do it ourselves, but we've talked about when we have a field reserve. Like I came across an instance where we had a field reserved and a bunch of cricket players were on there. And so I didn't, I understood they didn't know that we had the field reserved, but it also was wet. So I asked them to leave. But yeah, it would be nice if we were able to show that it's reserved. We can put it out there. So yeah, we've talked about it for sure. Oh.
So it is a responsibility of the renter to have their permit with them at all times. So if, for example, another group is on their field during their reserve time, they have to show their permit to the group that's out there. And if the other group doesn't leave, then you need to call security to come out. But I do like the idea of putting a sign out on the field. I just worry that it'll get damaged or ruined or taken. Kind of defeat the purpose.
Hi, Laura, thank you.
Laura, one
Yep.
question. One question on so you mentioned that everything will be automated, online, everything for all the rentals.
Yes, we're trying to go that route.
That's
Mhm.
great because I think we heard this in some of the CSD meetings too. It's like more like ease of doing things. So is it
Yeah.
like a new system you guys are buying or?
No, it's a current system. It just hasn't been used to its full capability. So staff are going through trainings and we're working through it right now. We hope
And
to
just-
launch it by summer.
And just one comment that in the next meeting, is it possible to, like Steve can give maybe like an overview of when are the next more facilities will be opening up for sports and all that? I know he has it.
I will bring that back, yes, but he's always invited to participate in these meetings, and so I'll ask him to attend if you'd like him to attend. But I'll share those. I've seen plans for phase 2 of Central Park, but nothing has been determined yet.
Okay, thank you.
Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting? Commissioner Green moves to adjourn. Is there a second?
Aye.
Commissioner Minder Singh seconds. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Meeting is adjourned until March 20th, 2024. Thank you everyone for participation.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you,
Thanks.
folks. Thank you.
Thanks, Kat, Denise. Thank you.
Hope you feel better.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Sean Davis, Fisker, come on, man.
Well, I mean,